Yes, welcome back to the Robertini channel, where today we begin the Norwich City player review. It's time we judge each individual player as we look to see who contributed the most this season, and perhaps there's even been some unsung heroes in this squad that you didn't even consider. And joining me to do this is, well, a mate of mine who was in the first ever video on this channel, believe it or not, Callum. My mate, on the tag on the Streamlabs, I've got it as sheepboy_1999. That's a little inside joke. We might cover it one day in another video. We might not. Who knows? One day. Really? Yeah. But today, mate, we are gonna judge players from Norwich City player review. Just to let you guys know, these are players who have played 5 or more games this season. So I think that only rules out Ballymember and Omyatoy, I believe. So that's 25 players actually that we've reviewed. It took a few days, hasn't it? Really, as well. We've kind of been messaging back and forth about it, haven't we?
Yeah, I know. I mean, what's going on? I mean, I'm over here at university, and then Rob rocks up. Oh, can you do this vid, mate? It's like, oh god, all right, if you want me to. No, it's been really good fun.
Homework done by Wednesday, please. Yeah, so a lot of hard work has come into this, so a like and subscribe would hugely be appreciated, especially if you want to see more Norwich content. Got a few things lined up down the summer. I say we start with so yeah, by the way, guys, as well, out of 10 is what we're ranking these. We're not going to go specific with 8.35 to whatever the case. It's just simply 8.5 or 8 in some cases, with the numbers between 1 to 10 and that. I feel I've ranked a lot of these players maybe too nice and maybe too high, but of course it's been a winning championship season. What I sent Callum as well, I'll quickly find the page, is a lot of what we're going by is goals and assists, of course, that primarily for strikers and midfielders, big contributions as well. That kind of sits with any player on the field, goalkeeper, defender, midfielder or striker. As one, for instance, a massive contribution was, of course, the Kieran Dowell free kick in the recent Derby game. That gave us all of the 3 points. Or you could even say Grant Hanley in that game, because he was brilliant at the back and yeah, man of the match performance. For defenders, though, we'll look at their clearances, clean sheets, big contributions to the games, and with just the 2 goalkeepers, I have got to say as well, Daniel Barden, of course he started, but he hasn't fitted into like the criteria that I've got for the players, 5 games or more that they've had to play. So it's just Tim Krul, Michael McGovern, but of course it's clean sheets, big saves made, all of that. That goes into our judgment out of 10 for each of these players. So yeah, should we start with the big Dutchman, which is Timmy Krul?
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. What a man to start with. Do you want to start or should I start?
You know what? It feels like Premier League prediction times hearing that question. Let's go. I'll start real quick. Let's go for it. So, of course, an experienced goalkeeper now. A true passion for Norwich City. I believe he's got now. He said all season online that he just wants the fans back. It's brilliant to see, and I think he's getting better and better each season now. The Dutch were very impressed with him after that FA Cup game against Spurs last season. He got the call up in September, of course. But I will say we haven't. I don't know about you, Callum, but we haven't needed him as much as we had, of course, last season in the Prem, because I think our defence has been the uncredited side here.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. So he's got. I mean, I'll go into it in a minute after you finish, but he's got amazing stats. But again, it is skewed a bit because of how good a defence has been in front of him. But yeah, so not as needed as he was last year. I mean, fantastic goalkeeper in the Prem, as he has been before with Newcastle. But yeah, I mean, Championship, just another class. As you say, not been needed as much, but just another class of goalkeeper. I'd say the best goalkeeper the Championship has seen in a long time, other than John Ruddy, of course.
Yeah, I'd go with that. 100%. Some of the good games as well. That Derby game I mentioned about Dow and Hanley. Krul was a very credited player in that one as well. A game which we played against Middlesbrough when they came to play us at Carrow Road. They gave us a real good game. That was 0-0. We couldn't really get anything from them. They defended well the whole game, and Krul again, a marvellous performance. Brentford away, he's saving Ivan Toney shots. Kept us in the game completely. And of course, like Swansea, back in the November, when we won. Back then, of course, the Swans were flying. Or beginning to fly, shall I say? But yeah, I've just said credit to the defence. Really, we've been superb at the back, and it's hard to rate Krul in a way. When he's needed to step up, he's 100% step up, and this is the opposite between him and the other goalkeeper that we'll get onto in a minute. In some cases, he's kept us going. He hasn't really had any awful games whatsoever. Conceded here and there. Some silly goals conceded, but overall, he's been quality, and it has been really hard to rate him. But I'm gonna go with an 8.5 out of 10, because I think he's been magnificent. Perhaps more clean sheets would have got him onto the 9 out of 10, but 8.5. I feel it's quite a high one to start with. What are you going for? What's your expertise on it all?
I mean, you said you were being nice, but I think that's a bit harsh. I've gone a little bit higher. I've gone with a 9.
Yeah.
I think he's been so integral. He's been so integral ever since he's come in, but particularly this season. So he's played 35 games. That's only due to injury. I think he would have been. Well, I think he played pretty much every game in the Prem, and I think he would have played every game this season if it wasn't for his injury. And even though he's only played 35 games because of the injury, he still had the second best clean sheets in the league, only beaten by Freddie Woodman. So Krul 17 clean sheets, Freddie Woodman 20 clean sheets, but Freddie Woodman played an extra 9 games. So it's a difficult one there. So I still think that Krul's the best goalkeeper in the league, far better than Freddie Woodman for me. So he's only conceded 21 goals this season. 21 goals from 35 games. That is ridiculous. Yeah. That is absolutely ridiculous. And of those 21 goals, he faced 108 shots on target. Just think about that for a second. 108 shots and only 21 of those go into the net. That is mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental. You can talk as much about a great defence we've had, which has helped him, but he still faced 108 and only conceded 21. It's just amazing. His save percentage is 80.73%. He's faced 5 penalties. All 5 of those he's saved. We know he's a penalty master. Showed that in the Spurs Cup game last season. And he's only 33, which for an outfield player might seem as, it's his last few years. For a goalkeeper, yes, goalkeepers are getting younger, but still, goalkeepers can go on for ages. What's Buffon now? 40, 41, 42?
I believe so, yeah.
Not saying,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Krul's Buffon, but he's close. He's only 33, so for me, I think he's got another good 4 or 5 years in him for me at this club. So the good thing is, he's brilliant now, and I don't think, unless he has a really bad injury, touch wood he doesn't, I don't think that he's going to massively drop off, and I don't think we need to think about a big replacement yet. It'd be good to get a long-term replacement in, like very long-term. I think Barden, again, as we said, good for the few starts he's had. I mean, thank God he hasn't been injured for too long this season, because if not, we would have had to rely on our other goalkeeper, which we get to talk about next.
yeah, I was going to say, he's... real quickly though, Krul, I think he did have a real good season. It's hard to judge again in the Premier League last season, but do you think he'll have another great season in the Premier League next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think he set a very high standard for himself. I think our defence going into the Prem is better than it was last time, and so I think that's going to help him, because he had an awful lot of work to do last season in the Prem. I think he'll be good. As I say, the thing for me, the only thing which is going to stop him is if he gets an injury, like if you remember Ruddy had.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he had, but he had an injury which really just ruined him.
Yeah, it was
ruined his career.
Yeah, the his.
So we just have to pray that doesn't happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with Ruddy, it was he bent his fingers back. It was making a save, wasn't it? And then Mark Bunn had to come in. But it's hopefully, like I said, touch wood and that. And if it is the case, then we get to see our new keeper Nyland. Yeah, that's another player we haven't we're yet to see. But I'm happy with that rating there, Crawl. Yeah, that's decent. I'll let you go first with our next one. Only 2 goalkeepers, like I said, guys. Michael McGovern next. Yeah. What's your take on him? Callum?
Well, like I've said to you before, I'm not the biggest fan of Michael McGovern.
Yeah.
I was there at his first game when we signed him, however long ago that was, 4 or 5 years ago now, and he was utterly abysmal. He thought he was some kind of goalkeeper that could play out from the back. He thought he could spray these Edison-like passes, throughout the field, make these long balls. He just couldn't. He missed every one. All of them were off target. It was horrendous. And I don't think he's ever been good in a Norwich shirt. And I was ready to come on here and give him like a 1 or a 2 on here. But unfortunately, I looked at the stats and he's not been as bad this season as I thought.
Yeah.
So he's conceded 11 goals. He played 10 times. So really, that's not really that bad.
No.
Obviously, it's the Championship, and he's got a good defence ahead of him. He faced 33 shots, and he actually saved 22 of them. But that's good going. And it really pains me to say this because I really wanted to slate him. But yeah, he's done better than I thought. He faced 1 penalty and he saved 1 penalty, and you can't argue with that. So yeah, I mean, still because of my personal hatred, I'm still going to give him a 5.5. But
yeah,
but because he hasn't played that much. Yes, he did better than I thought, but still, that was a dark period of our season when he came in. You could really tell when Kroll wasn't in, and there just wasn't as much confidence in that back line, which Kroll inspires. So I would say done a lot better than this season than I thought he had. But get him out of the club as soon as possible, because he's not a Premier League player. No way is he going to start in the Premier League ever. No way ever. I would rather play I'd rather play a youth player than the Barden. Absolutely, even lower than that. I'd rather play. You know who I'd rather play? Sam Blair.
I was waiting for the name Sam Blair to come. Yeah.
Get the big man Sam Blair in goal.
Mate, the Elsham treasure, mate. Yeah. 5.5. That's fair enough. I've gone a little higher than that because he has surprised me. Like you said, I've only gone 6.5. But the games involved was that Luton away one, 3-1. I actually spoke to a Luton fan today, weirdly enough, and how they played that day, pushing the attackers up to bully our defence wasn't great because we needed someone like Krul that day to really be on with the reactions. McGovern had to step up. And like I said, with Krul, when he had to step up, he certainly done the job. When McGovern stepped up, did he do it as well? I don't think he did. He's had some silly games, goals conceded. Forest away was as well the same. There was a goal from Guerrero, header in, their striker. That was from Anthony Knockhart. And I was looking at it back, I can't lie, and I thought, you got to easily read that, And there's only so much the defence can do. But I will say, replacing Krul, he has surprised me in some way. He hasn't done a great job, but he has surprised me. Also added the hard game of Watford away to play as well in that one, and that was a 1-0 loss. We didn't even beat them this season. But 6.5 from me, 5.5 from you. That's fair enough.
Get him in League One. Or League Two, where it belongs.
I think it will be his time, and over the summer as well, guys. We will be discussing potential signings and players who are departing. I don't know what McGovern's plans are really. I know obviously he picked up that injury. It could see him out, but whether he's gonna continue being with the squad, working with the team, I do not know. Only time will tell, of course. But we have got Nyland. Looking forward to seeing him if we do need him on the bench, and yeah, it's looking good for goalkeepers in terms of not having McGovern in the picture, bless him. But yeah. Okay, two goalkeepers wrapped up. Defence. I'll let you decide which player first of all with the defence do you want to rate. It can be either fullback, centre half. Who you going for? Who do you want to?
Well, I actually started on the right.
Do you want to go right? Yeah.
Max Aarons first.
Yeah, Aarons. We've got to call him now.
Aarons, God.
He's gonna annoy me too, mate. I've done it already, loads. Yeah. It's. I feel sorry for the commentators more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Right. So Max Aarons. I've given him, maybe controversially, I keep thinking I might change this, but I've gone for a 7.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So lower than I think a lot of people would say. But the reason is I think Max Aarons is a brilliant player. That first season where he came onto the scenes when was it? It was when we got promoted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was fantastic. I think he was pretty good. Obviously, very difficult to be in that defence in the Prem last season, but I think he still did well. I think he's been good this season. That for me is the word good. Not very good and not amazing, but good. Some people say it's his best season. I don't agree with that. So I think he's been good, but not the best for me. I'll tell you what my big thing for him is that I think I want him to stay, but I think he needs to be deployed as an attacking wing back. And the thing is, I don't think Farke's going to use that system here. And if so, for him as a player, and as a young guy who wants to do the best in football he can, does maybe he go to a team which uses that system? Maybe a 5 at the back, 3 central defenders, and then attacking wing backs. Would he work better there? Because his attacking stats are very good. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists, conversion rate of 11.11, got a shot accuracy of 44.44, taken 18 shots over the course of the season. He's got 2 assists. Over the whole season, he's created 62 chances, which is 1.4 a game, which for a right back is very good. Very good. That's attacking player numbers really. He's been good at passes. He's got a pass accuracy of 83.02. But this is why I say he needs to be deployed in a more attacking wing back role, because he's making 0.7 tackles a game. Now this is a theme which I'll talk more about with the rest of the defenders. All of their tackle stats are quite low. Which is because they're all doing equal kind of amounts of work, and because of how much defensive work is being done in front of them in the central midfield role. But still, I think for me, I'd like the tackles higher than that. He makes 1.4 take-ons per game with a success rate of 57.01, 0.9 interceptions a game, 1.8 clearances a game. So those kind of defensive numbers aren't quite high enough for me, particularly going into the Premier League. When you're facing wingers like Salah, Mane, Sterling, Pulisic, he's got the pace to keep up with them, but does he have that defensive acumen? I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, with this, I feel there's with our Aarons, there's pressure on trying to find a replacement for Skip more than anything here, because when he joins the attack, like you say, in this kind of right wing back position, it's brilliant how we do it. He's threatening, don't get me wrong, but if that team this season that we've seen win the ball back straight away, then Skip is instantly acting as that temporary right back position, and makes real nice clean interceptions. So I feel there's more pressure with it's weird in a way. I feel there's more pressure of trying to find a replacement for Skip as this kind of same kind of role as what he's played this season, more than anything to protect Maxi next season. But like you say, you've covered a lot there. In his attack, is class. He's looked really threatening. I've seen him do it in the Premier League before, but this season alone, he's looked brilliant. The crosses he can do to get into the box, especially onto the end of a player like Hugel, who we'll get onto later. He's brilliant himself. I feel he has also made clean tackles. I think as well. Don't get me wrong. More of an attacking player, like you say, more than anything. But I look at like stuff like teams like Watford and Barnsley, and they put the pressure on the defence, and you don't really see the true Max Aarons in those games. And
that's in the Championship, by the way. That's not like at Prem level.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, and he can't accommodate with these kind of sides going against them, and a similar team who done it last season to us was Burnley as well. They snatched off 3 points by playing a bit like that. So that's kind of the question of maybe a signing needed there. But I've gone for 8.5. So you went for 7.5, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I do feel. Max Aarons, kind of an unsung hero in some way this season, with his threat of joining the attack. But yeah, 8.5. But my question was real quickly. He's had links with Everton. Do you think he's going to leave?
I mean, it's difficult because he'll see what Ben Godfrey's done there, particularly recently, and why wouldn't he? I mean, how well has Ben Godfrey done there? It's difficult. I would think that Aarons and kind of the hype around him that he's had the last few years, I would think he'd probably want to go somewhere better than that. Don't get me wrong, I think Everton's going to do well in the Prem next season. But, I mean, he's had talks with Barcelona, Man United, Man City, Spurs. Why would you go to Everton if there are possibilities elsewhere? So I don't know. I'd like him to stay here. Obviously, I would. But and it's going to be difficult to replace him. But that's talk for another video.
Of course.
But we'll have to see. Yeah,
nicely. Yeah. So we're fans of Aarons, and as well, guys. Be sure to comment down below. We want to hear from you. 100%. Tell me what you think of Aarons. Tell me what you think of anyone on this list. Because I'm now going to go for. I'm going to go for a youngster as a centre half. I'm going to go for Andrew Omobama Daly.
Glad you said that, and not me.
the late entry, 18 years of age, and my first impression in the away game against Preston was that he started and worked tirelessly that game, and I do feel for him because that goal that they scored was from a deflection off of him. But I've looked at him at the end part of the season, which has been a real busy end part to secure the top spot and also secure promotion. And his interceptions are brilliant. He controls the game well. He's used to this, as I'll say, Farke philosophy of playing it round the back. He controls the games as well. And Hanley's been a big help for that. We'll get onto him in a moment's time. But the blocks he's put in as well is brilliant. He isn't one to get nervous with him. He'll put himself in there and make sure Krul doesn't have to save anything. I want this in the Premier League, and I feel all that we need to see from him is maturity to increase in some way. The game against Derby was a good example away. Where he was put under pressure by the Derby attack. He had to pass it back to Krul, and Derby then snatched the ball. And almost had a chance. So perhaps a little bit improvement on his spatial awareness. But he is just 18 years of age, and we were saying last night on the call, he is allowed to make mistakes because he's got a lot of years to make up for it. So, being all of that, I'm going to go for 7 out of 10.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Yeah,
like he's been
no,
a real
that's
important
fair.
player at the end of the season. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, 7's fair. See, we keep going back and forth. I've actually been a bit more kind here. I've given him
Yeah.
a 7.5,
That's fair.
which it was difficult because there are other players that I've given lower, and I'm thinking, oh, but they've served us better this season, kind of through the season. And it's difficult to judge a player who's only played 712 minutes this season. He's had 18 games, only started 8. So it's difficult to judge him, but the games he has played, particularly started towards the end of the season with the injury of Gibson.
Yeah.
He's just been fantastic, hasn't he? What's
Yeah.
he? I think 6'2", real kind of physical presence. And he's 18. He's 18. What were we doing when we were 18, Rob?
Christ, Jesus
We're
Christ.
sitting here 21 now, and he's absolutely bossing it in the Championship, and is going to get, and I think will get some games in the Premier League. I don't necessarily think he should be a starter, but not straight away anyway. But I think he'll get games. But no, yeah, I think he's done really well with the time that he's been given. And funny enough, like I was saying to you last night, he's made mistakes, but also there's a maturity about him as well. I mean, he's only lost possession 7.6 times a game, which is the lowest of all of the centre backs. He's also very good at passing, completed 54.8 passes per game, with the highest accuracy rating out of all of the defensive line at 89.46%. Yes, only 18 of those 54.8 were forward passes, so maybe not always the most progressive in passing, but still very good stat there. Most tackles out of the centre backs at 1.3 a game. He's got 100% take on success. He's got the second highest aerial duel success rate out of the centre backs at 70.59. The highest also ground duel success of 75, highest blocks 1.1. These stats don't lie.
No,
yes, it's a very concentrated small period of time, whereas Hanley and Gibson and the others have done it over a wider period. So obviously there's going to be more mistakes and more issues in that period. But wow, for the games he's played, he's been fantastic. Not only that, but he's had no cards, no yellow cards, no red cards. So good discipline, which again you don't always see in a young player. So I've been really impressed with him, I must say. Having said that, again, it's difficult to rate him because he's only had 712 minutes. So I've given him a 7.5. But I think if you would have done that over a wider period of the season, I would have given him much higher. But for me, I think 7.5 is fair.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with 7. But wait, I've done so. Yeah, 7.5. But yeah, like you said, more minutes needed, and we would have been able to judge him a bit better, 100%. But yeah, looking forward to the future of Andrew Omitoy. Have I said that right? I've picked up the other player there, haven't I? Andrew Omobamidele. I'm getting used to.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's Tyrese Omitoy. I believe that was his name, the striker. He's not with us anymore. And then there's Andrew Omobamidele. Only Norwich could have done that to us, couldn't they?
Wait, is Omatoy not with us anymore?
Believe he's gone now. I might be wrong. Believe he's gone. Oh, he might have went out on loan in January, I believe.
True.
But yeah. Anyway, sticking with the defence, your turn to pick next. Who are you going for? Can go for a left back if you want. I know we've covered the right back and one centre half now, but
no, I'm gonna stick with defenders. With centre back, sorry, and I'm gonna go with the man, the myth, the Scottish legend that is Grant Hanley.
Grant Hanley, fair
what
play.
a man! What a man! What a look!
One
nice,
big page
nice
for
beard,
him.
massive face. What a man! What a Scottish man! I love him. Absolutely love him. I'll be honest, I wasn't convinced about him when he first came in from, I think it was Newcastle.
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit of a brute and didn't have any kind of defensive acumen about him, any kind of defensive brain about him. I thought he was just a brute. But I mean, he's done so well. I think this is probably his best season actually for me. His role for me is he's an enforcer. He's not necessarily pretty to watch, and and he's a bit of a brute, but he's an effective one. And that's what matters. He's a real old-fashioned centre back for me. He's played 42 games this season. He's got a goal from a header, and with the fat old head of his, he's 38 tackles he's made all season, which is kind of odd. You would have thought he would have been more than that over 42 games. That's less than one tackle a game. But again, it's about what's going on in front of this defensive line with the midfielders, which we'll talk about later. But obviously he's a big chap, so he's fantastic in the air, which I think is one of his biggest positives. He wins 4.1 of his aerial duels per game. Also, his ground duels wins 2.6 of those a game. He's making 5.1 clearances a game, again, old-fashioned. 1.9 interceptions a game. He loses the ball 8.4 times a game, but if I'm going to be talking a bit more about that later with other players, that's hardly any. That's literally hardly any times in a 90-minute game. So that's fantastic. Surprisingly, he's only got 3 yellow cards this season, which with kind of a big brutish player as Hanley, you would have thought there'd be more. So he's got some good discipline about him.
Yeah.
He's making 61.2 passes a game. 21.2 of those are forward passes again, so not always the most progressive passer, but that's something I'm going to be talking about in a minute about Ben Gibson, so it doesn't matter. No, I think for the role he's given by Farke in this team, absolutely fantastic. As the captain as well this season, just phenomenal. And I'm going to give him a rating of 9. Same as Kroll, 9 for me.
Fair play. Well, I've got to join you there, Callum, as 9 out of 10, because that's what I've gone for
very
as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Some of the best work rate this season in the squad, I think. Gives 110% each game. That's made with blocks that he's done all season, and it saved us a lot, and got us out of mucky situations a lot this season. Helped Krul out massively, like we were saying with Tim Krul's assessment earlier. I think with a player like Hanley, he's very valuable to have him in front of him as he's in goal. And yeah, he's looked great at the end of this season. I'm going to mention again that Derby away game, man of the match performance from him, kept us in a real good game where only 1 goal from a set piece. That kind of describes the game itself, how it went. That allowed us a step closer to promotion. He's just been class this season. He's looked threatening. He's looked a lot better at getting out of these pressured areas, as I'll call them, created by the opposition. And controlled the games brilliantly. You can tell Farke's focused on him in training and got him to play the way of playing it round the back. Because I felt last season the Prem, Godfrey done a real good job of that, passing it round, and then Hanley not so much at times, so it screwed up and lost it a few times. But Luton at home, he controlled the game at the back brilliantly. That's just another example. And he's starting to create a nice strong duo partnership with Mr. Ben Gibson, who we will move on after this. But I think it's been the main reason as well. Actually, we'll transition into Ben Gibson now. I think it's been the main reason why Gibson has also easily suited into this team this season. He's a leader. He's also helped out Omar Bamadeli, and these all deserve extra marks as well. He's made his time in the Championship as easy as possible because it's a hard league, and influenced him to be a great centre half next to him from playing, like I said, the Farke philosophy. But yeah,
Farke Ball. That's what it's called. Farke Ball.
Yeah, but 9 out of 10, and we will go on to Ben Gibson now real quickly. And another player who's had a great season. I haven't gone as high as Hanley for him. I've got an 8.5 out of 10 for Mr. Ben Gibson. But he's turned out to be a real good signing, and also his first game in was the Derby 1-0 loss, which is fair enough, but he was very motivated that day. I feel he controlled the game well, and he passed it around the back well a lot of the time, and not just from that game but all of the games. And I'm glad really, because he came from a Burnley team who didn't really include him into a lot of games. He's looked for his big time break in a team, and it's going to be Norwich at this rate. Controls the games well. He had the most completed passes in his first game of the season, 100 against for V Derby, 99 v
Nice.
Luton. And he can defend. And like you said, he's got used and he's synced into the Farke Ball now. I love his passing around the back, and he's suited Norwich well. He's like, I tell you what, he's like the Ruben Diaz of the Championship. Just controls it well, brilliantly around there, and some of his long balls are brilliant as well. He'll ping the ball up and then get it. Say Emmy controls it down. That's a goal right there. That's going to lead up to a goal. So yeah, part of the playmaking.
What was the assist that he had? He had an assist, didn't he? I can't remember who. It was a fantastic assist. He ran up the field and he passed it through to someone.
It might have been the one I was thinking about. Was it a long ball, like a proper long ball?
Yeah, I think it was. It was an early game of his, a very early game of his.
Ooh,
it was amazing because I remember we hadn't had him for long, and I was just like, "Wow, this is going to be a good season for him."
Trying to think now. Perhaps maybe Swansea, November. Nah, probably be earlier than that, won't it?
Maybe it's probably Tapuki because he scores most of our goals, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But just
Ben Gibson.
Remember that being amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, 8.5 I'm going for.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. So I've gone similar. I've gone 8.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing with Ben Gibson is that he works so well with Hanley because both of them do different things. So as I said before, Hanley is kind of the brutish centre back, kind of aggressive. And Gibson, on the other hand, is a bit more progressive. He's, I'd say, probably a more suiting Premier League centre-back, actually. The more modern centre-back, I would say, in that he plays a lot of passes, 69.5 passes on average per game, and 36.9 of them are forward. So he's a very progressive, modern centre-back. He's unfortunately he didn't play as many games as we would like. Only 27 games due to his injury. As I said before, he's got an assist, that amazing assist. Created 11 chances throughout the season, which doesn't sound like a lot, but he's a centre back. He's a centre back. He's not meant to be creating chances. Like that is mental. That is so good. But the thing is, because he's partnered with Hanley, it means that he doesn't have to do as much as of the other kind of brutish kind of work. So his kind of duels in the air, not as good as Hanley, 60.8% aerial duel success. Also, tackles as low as 0.4 a game.
Yeah.
That's not very high. So is that a negative or a positive? I don't know. Because maybe it's the fact that he doesn't need to tackle. Again, the work that other players around him are doing. But still, for me, that really stood out. I was really surprised by that. Yeah. He's making 4.1 clearances a game, 1.7 interceptions, loses possession 11.9 times a game, and he's got 5 yellow cards for the season. So I think he's done very well in his first season, and he'll be really happy to come here and have a good season after not getting any time at Burnley after he was so good at Middlesbrough. So yes, I think he'll be happy with this season. I'm not exactly sure, but I think we've got an obligation to buy him, haven't we?
Yeah, he's our. I believe he's our player now. Because Burnley had a fault in the set in the contract where it said if he plays a certain amount of games, which he has, he's surpassed. I think if it was like over 20 games or something like that, then he'll become like a Norwich City player. And he's happy as well to be there. He's loved the club. Yeah, he has absolutely loved it this season.
Yeah, well, when you get a chance like he's been given here, I mean, of course you would. And also, let's be honest, you'd rather play at Norwich than Burnley, wouldn't you?
Oh, God, yes.
Like they haven't been relegated this season, but they just play such boring football. Yes, it's very important to be a defender at Burnley because you'll be pretty busy, but at the same time, to watch to watch from the back. That
It's not the
team,
most
you'd much
appealing.
rather watch Norwich, wouldn't you? You'd much rather watch Timu Pukki than who have they got?
Chris Wood, mate, the Australian dynamo.
Chris Wood. You'd rather watch Pukki, wouldn't you? Much rather watch Pukki.
100%. Yeah.
So no. So anyway, I'd give him an 8 overall.
8 overall, fair play that. Yeah, so that's Andrew on with Daily, Ben done, Grant Hanley done.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll let you choose next. We've still got, I think we've got 3 defenders left, include 2 fullbacks and 1 centre half. Who are you going for?
Okay, so I'm going for centre half. So it's Christoph Zimmermann.
Yeah. Lovely.
So I've always liked Christoph Zimmermann, if I'm honest. He got a chant very early on, which was very good to see. I think he was one of the first players to come in when Farke came in, I believe. So he's been really a part of Farke's philosophy.
I think with Teddy gone now
really
as well.
In previous seasons.
I think he's the longest serving now as well.
I've been disappointed this season. He hasn't played as much as I would have thought. He's got 13 starts this season. Still got 1,212 minutes under his belt, but still, I would have thought coming into the season, I actually thought he would have been our first choice centre back. But his big issue is that he fits into the same role as Hanley, and Hanley this season has just been leagues better than Zimmermann for me. I think because they're both brutish, but what Farke's been able to do with Hanley, he's been able to reel that in a bit and been able to develop a bit more of a football brain with Hanley and make him a bit more careful with his tackles, so he's not giving away as many fouls and yellow cards, which Zimmermann does. So he's not a particularly progressive player. He loses possession 11.4 times a game. He actually attempts a lot of long passes, the most out of the defensive line, 11 a game, but he's only got an accuracy of 42.57%, which is where all of this losing of possession comes from. He's a big guy like Hanley, so he's got aerial dual success of 62.5%, and he's actually got the best ground dual success rate at 62.79, but he's racked up 4 yellow cards in 13 starts. That's not a stat to be proud of. So I think I like him, but I don't know what his future at the club is. For me, maybe Hanley gets an injury next season, and maybe he comes in. Who knows? Who knows? Whether it's best for him to go out on a transfer on a loan like Tim Closer has, and didn't kind of necessarily see a future this season, and maybe not next season. Maybe he's going to leave permanently. Who knows? So yeah, I don't know. We shall see. But I've given him a 6 anyway.
6.
A bit disappointing for me.
Yeah, I'm the same really. With Zimmermann, you know, I expected him to be in this squad a bit more this season. And like you said, with his future here, perhaps his time is up. Maybe, you know, it looked a lot better last time for him in the Championship than it has now. But yeah, Farke's got used to using Hanley and Gibson, hasn't he? Though, really, you know, he's always looked strong for me whenever he's started at the back, but hasn't been with us due to injury. You know, he's one who has picked up a lot of injuries during his time here at Norwich. A lot of the time the fitness isn't there either, but you know, again, like Ben at times, you know, Ben Gibson, he's looked solid at the back, and as you mentioned as well, his aggressiveness hasn't helped. You know, 4 yellow cards, but in some way that hasn't, you know, he hasn't naturally suited into the squad this season from that great duo of Gibson and Hanley. I'm only going to go a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I think that's quite generous, but nice.
I've just a 7. Yeah, for that one. Okay, nice one. I'm gonna go. So I believe we have got for the defenders just 2 left backs.
Left backs.
So I'm gonna pick. Let's go for Giannoulis, the Greek left back. Our January signing. 25-year-old Greek left back coming to England as well. Can I just say, an unknown country for him. and he's integrated perfectly. He has integrated perfectly ever since that Derby, his debut against Borough, not Derby, in that 0-0 game. Okay, a dry 0-0, but a game the whole defence, the whole team had to work for. He's looked incredible since then. His attributes that shout out to me is his pace. He's fast. It's brilliant down for the counter attack on football. Yeah, and he can and that's great as well because he can also track back and quickly defend as well with the opposition picking up the ball. It was a shame he was suspended for the Watford game because that was a 1-0 loss and the other player will get on in a minute, Xavi Quintilla. He had to play that one and it didn't look as good at all. But respect to Xavi, but I will say I'm glad we're bringing Giannoulis up to the Premier League rather than Xavi Quintilla. Perhaps unlucky with his red card as well of Giannoulis at Bournemouth against Bournemouth, as it wasn't deliberate. But he can make clean tackles and he can easily look threatening in the attack and also track back, and that's all to do with his pace. And I think that's his key attribute there that really helps him. So, being that 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10 for the Greek left back, the Greek god, shall I say?
No, I was going to say, yeah, he's a Greek god, isn't he? He's a bit of a Greek god. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I've gone a little bit low. I've gone for 7.5. So I think he's been good so far. To me, looks like a natural replacement for Jamal Lewis. He's very quick, and I thought he'd be mainly an attacking threat, but actually he does a lot of defensive work, which I don't think a lot of people kind of think about. He's got making 1.2 clearances a game, 1.2 interceptions a game, and he's only got 1 assist. Obviously, only 16 games, but I think if he's our first choice left back in the Prem next season, I think that'll go up. I think he'll do well in the Prem. Speed does really help, but just got to hope that this kind of hard work in the defence continues. Also, by the way, making 2.4 tackles a game, which I was very surprised about. Happy with Giannoulis and hope it continues in the Prem. 7.5 for me.
10.5. That's fair enough. Yeah. He has really impressed me ever since he's signed for us. And we'll quickly go on the Spanish man himself, Xavi Quintilla. Nothing too great defensively. Shouts out to me on this one. I don't know about you, but his crossing ability more kind of shouts out for me. The Huddersfield game that he started in the first game of the season. He looked brilliant crossing the ball there. There's a few times he crossed it in, but he's had an injury. We haven't been able to see him a lot, and it's mainly been about Giannoulis. He isn't the strongest defender in my point of view. He really, and I mean really, struggled against Sarr for Watford in that home game. Sarr got the better of him completely, and I know it may be a bit harsh to say because Sarr is got that same kind of quality in this league as perhaps Buendia, but he really couldn't handle it, and I prefer him as an attacker, as a left wing back, let's say, but he hasn't really impressed me too much, and it might be because I haven't seen him a lot, and just a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, same for me actually, 7 as well. Played 11 games this season, and in that time he got respectable 2 goals and 1 assist. I think obviously he's come in particularly recently when Giannoulis got that red card. So he's played kind of at bookends of the season. Played at the very start of the season, everyone was wowed by his crossing ability, but that's kind of all there seemed to be to him. And then he's played at the end as well, and he's been particularly good recently. Scored 2 of those brilliant goals. I think he's very good attackingly. He creates 2.4 chances a game, which is fantastic for a fullback. Absolutely brilliant for any player on the field, but particularly a fullback. I think it's his defensive work which would worry me if he did stay, which he's don't believe he is. 0.9 tackles a game. Terrible because of he's so short. He's only got 30% success rate in the air. I think and he's losing possession 16.7 times a game. So yeah, so I think I'm glad for the work he's given us, but yeah, I think better to go back to Spain. I think maybe that league fits him more than this very kind of physical championship.
Yeah, good assessment on him. Good assessment. Yeah, I say Spain's his destination. And yeah, like we say, like 24 years of age, he might still have a future somewhere in England. Who knows? Hopefully he does. I do obviously wish him all the best. But just a 7 for me. Yeah. Okay then, that's all the defenders done. We've.
Sorry, everyone, it's taken so long.
We're getting through it nicely. We'll move on to the midfielders. I'll let you have the first pick for the midfielders. Who are you going for? So it can either let's get this right. We'll just go for central midfielders to begin with. So central attacking midfielders, as in like Dow and Cantwell. We'll do later on. But yeah, which central midfielder shall we go for first? You're the pick.
Well, I'm not messing about here. I'm straight off the gate with one of the players which has got massive acclaim this season. It's Ollie Skipp.
Ollie Skipp. Oh, that's heaven to my ears, Callum. That is, honestly.
It's very he's been very good, I must say. I mean, he's been kind of a real rock for us this season in the central midfield, which you wouldn't think from a guy of this age. What is he? Kind of
20 years.
21?
20 years of age, yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, that's amazing to have that kind of ability in the field. To me, it looks like he's in his prime, say 25, and I think he's only going to get better, which is why it worries me that Spurs, with how shaky they've been this season, that they're going to want him back, that they're not going to want us to have him in the Prem, say on another loan.
Yeah.
But no, he's been fantastic. A lot of the time, he's almost been an extra centre back in front of the main centre backs. Either that, or as you said before, he slots into the right back role, and when Aarons is pushing forward. But to me, he reminds me a lot of Harrison Reed. Who I really liked. Yeah. He was in our first season with Farke, I believe. I really liked Harrison Reed, but that kind of quite small, kind of bitey, gritty little midfielder who does all kind of the dirty stuff. He feels like a version of Harrison Reed, which is more polished, more composed, got more quality to him. I think he's done so well in this role. He's done really well. He's played 41 games this season, 1 goal, 1 assist. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's more of a defensive player, but that doesn't really matter if you put him with a slightly more attacking central midfield next to him. But even then, he's still creating 0.7 chances a game, which is still very good. 2.4 tackles a game. Again, it's like he's a centre-back in the midfield. And he's got an 88% pass accuracy as well. And he only loses possession 9.3 times a game. So
that's crazy.
8.5 for me.
8.5.
It's got to be an 8.5.
Yeah. Okay, I've really gone to town with this.
Gee, what have you done?
9.5. Oh my god.
God.
No,
you stuck up his arse. Gee,
he deserves it.
Him. Real brown nosing him.
No, he deserves it 100%.
No, I tell you exactly what this is. This is because you think you've got Spurs fans now.
Nah.
Guy you get on.
I've had more beef than anything on Twitter with me saying, I want Skip next season with Spurs fans. They're like, oh no, he's not yours. All right. I was just testing it. But 9.5, 100%. Honestly, one of our best players this season. Let's go through it. Okay, the goalkeeper's been good. You know, Tim Krul, he's been great. Defense has been great as well. But what has resulted onto goals being scored is the playmaking from Ollie Skipp, the passes there. And what has kept goals out a lot this season has been the Ollie Skipp interceptions. And can I just say, clean interceptions as well. You'll rarely see him get a card and the referee interfere with his play because they are clean. He honestly is potentially our best player of the season. Third player of the season, voted third player of the season as well. And the formula that I've said about that I've adored is Aaron's joining the attack, and if that opposition wins it straight away, then we are breathing calmly because we know Skipp will be tracked back as a temporary right back and regains the possession a lot of the time, doesn't he? And And he makes, like I said, makes the cleanest tackles as well. And for a 20-year-old as well, such a great discipline and maturity.
Brilliant composure.
Yeah, but Buendia's got a worse discipline and maturity than him, and he's 4 years older than Skip, 24. I know it's different players, but yeah, I believe it was. So Norwich fans might have to correct me on this. I believe it was Luton away, and we were losing. We were 3-1 down at the end of the game, and I believe, or it might have even been earlier in the game when we still had a bit of a chance. Maybe Luton were 2-1 up. Anyway, I believe Luton had a last man on, and we were needing to get on with the game at that point and start scoring. And Ollie Skip put the tackle on the last man. I think he was the last man, but just past the centre point. So I don't think it resulted into a red card, but he knew he was going to sacrifice himself as a yellow card to get a yellow card. But he knew that would stop that Luton attacker from being on a one-on-one with Michael McGovern in goal that day. So he protected us from scoring 4-1 up, and he was selfless rather than selfish. You know, thought of the team rather than himself at some point. Okay, you can say on the other hand, he's got a yellow card and he could have potentially been off, but I think he's been amazing, and I mean, we'll get onto another video soon of how do we replace him, because that's the issue right now with Norwich. How do we replace a player like him? I don't know where we'd be without him, and that's and I don't know where we'd be without him is with the case of Skip, Buendia, Pookie, and perhaps Handley. You know, the 4 individuals this season. We'll get on to the attackers soon, but 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Yes.
Yikes! All right. Calm yourself.
We'll go. I'm going to go for this next one. I think he's an unsung hero in some way for some of the games he had to cover. It's a youngster. It's Jakob Sørensen, or Jacob Sørensen, shall I say as well. 23 years of age. Again, another youngster who's a bit like Giannoulis, came and had to adapt and get used to life in England. And this season when Xavi was injured and before we even had Giannoulis, he's appeared and came on as a left back, and at the time when he was improvised as a left back, that was pretty much his main starting role for the club. He was one of the best left backs in the league at the time during October going into November. Another player who has had to come over and adapt as well, like I said, and he's done remarkable in the defence and makes clean tackles, a bit like Skip. He's a future of Norwich City with Teti gone as well now, sadly, and such a strong left back with the game against Brentford away. That wasn't an easy place to go. Yet we got a point from it. But still, he's been phenomenal improvisation. So 8 out of 10.
8. Okay, yeah, no. Well, I'm very similar, to be fair. 7.5.
Yeah.
I think he's been a really good utility player. There's not many players of his age, and from a completely different league, by the way. Like the way that he's not only had to adapt to this new country and this league, which is very physical, but he's had to completely adapt his position into a left back for large parts of the season. So yeah, real kudos to him for that. I mean, I'd be interested to see what he's like in the midfield, because we haven't been able to see him in there much.
No.
So maybe he's a natural replacement actually for Skip. Maybe maybe we don't buy anyone new. Maybe we don't get Skip back on loan. Maybe we just put Sørensen there. Maybe that works. I don't know. I don't think he's got as much composure and quite the quality that Skip's got. But there's the summer to coach him and for him to grow. So so I think we'll have to see there. But really good utility player for me. And 7.5.
7.5. Yeah, he has had a good season. Great start as well. And all eyes on him for the future of Norwich City. Okay. We've only got a few midfielders left. Who you going to pick? I'll let you decide the next one.
I'm going to go for the mayor of Norwich.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for the Bosnian David Beckham then. We'll get onto him.
No. I'm going for na 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 na.
Kenny McLean. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend. I love this guy because I love his persona, and I don't think you see many footballers like that anymore who've got this kind of like working man's just really fun persona. He's not like an Instagram like legend or anything like that. He's not like that. He's just an old-fashioned, good fun player. And I mean, you saw the scenes of him last year. Last time we won the league. Sorry.
On the balcony.
On the balcony with the mayor's hat on. He was still pissed, bless him. Honestly, I wish I could give him a 10 for just his character. But he's been good this season as well. To be fair, he's played 38 games, started 30. He's got 6 assists and 2 goals. He's taken 0.9 shots a game. He's creating only the same amount of chances as Skip, actually, at 0.7. But no, I think he's done well this season. I don't think it's been his best season. I think maybe when we got promoted last time, the second half of that season was him in his absolute prime. I think he did pretty well in the Prem.
See, that's interesting because I think the opposite there. I think this has been his best season. Yeah. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you finish up, but I think he's been awesome.
Okay, I think he's been very good. But I think it's just it's difficult with this rating system because it's when we're comparing him to other players who have just been phenomenal. I think
true.
Kenny McLean's been very good, but I don't think he's been phenomenal. For me, I'm giving him a 7.5, which might be controversial to some.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's been good, and what I do really like about him is he just gets stuck in. Again, he's an old-fashioned kind of player in the same way as Hanley. He really gets stuck in with the defensive work. 1.5 tackles a game, 1.5 clearances a game, 1.3 interceptions a game. So yeah, I think he really gets stuck in, and his work rate is fantastic. I'd love to see kind of his heat map on the pitch because he'd just be everywhere, wouldn't he? He just runs and runs everywhere. It's like a little loyal dog, is what Kenny McLean is. Just fantastic. But yeah, 7.5 for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think he's been amazing this season. Maybe I'm going a bit too high on the rating here, but maybe because I think he's done great at this end part of the season more than anything, and obviously that's the part I've seen. Go back 6 months back, and it might have been a different story. I think he's a player who's improved this season from last season. I will say last season in the Premier League would be 2-0 down, let's say, and he would come on off the bench and at least have a try and have a chance and have a bit of confidence. Okay, nothing really went in, but he was having a go at it, We'll get onto Lucas Rupp, but I think he's similar with Rupp in a way that he makes these perfect interceptions, and is then, as soon as he wins the ball, he's always looking for that attacker straight away. He'll look for Pukki, he'll look for Buendia, he'll look for the long ball. I mean, he set up Buendia lovely. This is my goal of the season, by the way. A brilliant volley against Barnsley at home. It was honestly one of the best goals I've seen from Buendia easily. So yeah, I think his long balls have been perfected this season, and that's what makes him excellent for me. Defensively as well, he's like you said, he's put himself in there. He's not taking no for an answer this season, and at 6 assists, that offers a lot for the team. Mainly his passes, but he's a threat. And if you see him pass the ball and you're on that opposition side, you are praying that a teammate or yourself is on the end of it. And you are praying, for God's sake, you are praying that Pukki and Buendia isn't on the end of it. If not, there's trouble there. There's goals right there. So maybe a bit high, but 8.5 out of 10.
Yikes!
Not
got
to
some kind of sponsorship with Norwich.
I'm half Scottish. Nah, I'm not really. But I don't know. Not skip rating of 9.5, but 8.5. I'm going for. Yeah.
No, that's fair. To be fair, I'm gonna pick another midfielder, another central midfielder. Someone who's leaving the club, unfortunately. He's not quite a legend.
Okay, I know exactly who you're on about. Yep.
he is a hero for me.
Yep.
Mario Vrancic, the Bosnian Beckham.
Yep.
He's I really loved him since he's been here. What's it, 4 years now? I think. He was, I believe, I heard the other day, he was the first player to come in this new Farke Weber reign. So he really set the tone. So no, I think he's fantastic. He's been a real brilliant servant to the club. Just if you watch him on the pitch, the way he effortlessly just glides around. And he's not quick. Right, that was one of my first things that I realised about him. He ain't quick in any way, shape or form, but he doesn't need to be. The way he controls the ball and just pings it, he's just fantastic. And I think it was in, I can't remember if it was the season we last got promoted. I think it might have been. I was at that game. I think it was against Wigan, and he scored a penalty. And he was brilliant that game in general, but he scored the penalty as well. Yeah. And no, I think he's fantastic to watch. I'm going to miss not seeing him anymore. But no, he's been brilliant since he's been here. But even this season, 3 goals, 5 assists from central midfield. Very good going.
Yeah.
That's from 19 starts. He creates 1.7 chances a game, again, from central midfield. 0.7 shots on target a game. I just think he's fantastic. And even then, something that people don't realise about him is he does do the defensive work as well. 1.9 tackles a game. So I think he's fantastic. He's brilliant to watch. So for me, I mean, after all I've just said, this might seem a bit low, but I'm giving him the same as McLean. I'm going 7.5.
7.5, yeah, that's actually higher than what I've gave him. So I've gave him a 7. But I will say...
so 1.5 lower than Kenny McLean?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, a hero, and I will miss him. But, mate, again, like, and this first sentence I've got here on my notes, it won't kind of justify it, but he's coming off the bench a lot this season, and he's accumulated a lot of points. He scored a late winner against Birmingham at home, 1-0. That's 3 points in the back right there. And then the game after that, we played Wickham at home, 2-1. He scores a late free kick, and as well, obviously, we've got to mention his free kicks are brilliant. And that's why I'm calling it, why people on Twitter, and I'm calling him the Bosnian David Beckham. So 6 points from Vrancic alone that were found this season, and yeah, it's contribution right there, isn't it? And this has put us in an advantage against other teams. He can offer us a lot on the attack and threat, and I think an unsung kind of duo, I'll say, is Vrancic and Pukki. I think they created a nice link-up play when they've played regularly.
Because Vrancic has been pushed forward a bit this season, hasn't he? He's been put in the attacking midfield role, hasn't he?
Yeah, at times. Obviously, Cantwell had that knock at the start of the season, so Vrancic had a bit of time to play there, and I think Dow was even out then as well, or Dow might have not been ready under Farke.
Well, we had that injury crisis, didn't we? It was quite early on in the season.
Yeah, that was awful.
I remember looking at our starting 11, and I was like, "Oh, this is literally our second team." But we were still. It wasn't our best period of the season, but we were still beating teams.
Yeah,
I think people underestimate. We've had an amazing season, but I think it could have been even better if we didn't have the injury crisis that we had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We would have. I think. Yeah, we would have been over that 100 points. I think 106 is the number to beat in this league, and I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Wolves hold that effort. That number with under Nuno.
Really?
It might have been someone else.
I don't think it was. No, I'm almost certain it wasn't. I actually think that Wolves team, which everyone shouts about, I'm pretty sure they only got 93 points.
And 93, yeah. That maybe it was...
I don't know who that 106 is. I feel like it might be quite a while ago.
Or quite a while. Yeah. There's one to look up. Yeah, I've gave just a 7 out of 10. A shame to see him go, and yeah, we'll miss him, won't we? You know, we will really miss him, and we want to see more of him. I think because he's 31 years of age, so it's not like it's a retired. I mean, Pukki's 31 right now, you know, but it's just a shame that.
Wouldn't know it.
No, you wouldn't. It's just a shame that I think it's Mario who's came out and said, "That's me done here. I've done my time," and that's it. And I think Norwich were wanting to do another contract. The same with Teti, but Teti obviously wants to go back. As revealed today, actually, on recording, that he's going back to Rosenborg, his team he started originally. Yeah, quite. That's one. We'll do Teti last. Actually, we'll say the best, as in midfielders. We'll do best midfielder last, which is Teti, because legend himself. So I'm going to move on to Lucas Schripp. I believe that is, other than Teti, that is the only kind of midfielder left, isn't it? Other than the attacking midfielders. So of course the LRAS, the Lucas Schripp Appreciation Society. Big up, honestly. That I think this player has improved the most last season compared to anyone else. I know he didn't start a lot last season in the Prem when we bought him in January onwards. But I think he's improved the most. And I'm seeing him in the Championship, and I'm realising how well he is at passing. And he controls the game as well. That ball possession is controlled by us because of the help of Lucas Schripp a lot this season. Something we need in the Premier League, 100%. If we're 1-0 up at the end of the game, I want Rippon to control the game. He's certainly done that this season in the Championship. He's a player... he's precise and accurate, with the timing on his tackles as well. I have said there's a little negative in a way that he's a little aggressive with the tackles. He gave away the free kick against Derby at the start of the season, and their current manager right now, Rooney, and when he was a player manager, he scored that free kick, and we lost that one, didn't we? So, he is brilliant though, I think, and one game for me that made me realise that he was brilliant was that Birmingham away game. The completed passes in that one was 107, and that was 36 more passes than the 4 Birmingham midfielders between them.
Mental.
I've listed him, Callum, as the N'Golo Kante of the Championship, honestly. I want more of him next season.
It makes no sense.
It's a shame that he's 30 years of age. That's all I'm going to say.
He's not as defensive as N'Golo Kante.
No,
I think he's got more of a...
maybe Skip is that one, but okay, we'll say he's just the Xavi of the Championship. Go on then.
Well, I'll let you have that.
I think he's been great, and a shame not to see him again. Another player we haven't seen too much, as well. But yeah, your assessment.
Yeah, so as you say, I haven't seen him that much. 23 games this season due to his hamstring injury. But when he has played, and he's been moved into this attacking position when we were having issues in that centre attacking role, he's really reinvented himself from last season. As you said, he's really improved. Because last season when he came in, just horrendous. My exact words are a shocking piece of German sludge.
I remember you saying this last night, and I was like, "Oh, okay." He's not been that this season, but he's been last season awful. Yeah,
he was.
Yeah.
But it was because he was. But okay, we're talking about him in the central midfield role, but really he's been more of a centre attacking role this season. When he's been on. Anyway, and but when he came in to the team in the Prem, he's a right midfielder. Really, is what he came from in Germany, and then straight away Farke plonked him in central midfield. Like it doesn't belong there.
Yeah,
it doesn't belong there. So no, I think he's done really well this season. Really well. He's got 3 assists and 6.4 ball recoveries per game, and 1.8 chances per game, 0.5 shots on target a game, and he's spraying around on average 57.8 passes per game. But as you say, sometimes in that Birmingham game, that is massively inflated. He has just controlled some games amazingly, like a Xavi in a weird way.
Yeah, 100%.
He has. But yeah, I think it's consistency, what we're going to need from him in the Prem. Going to see how he gets over this injury as well. So I'm interested to see how he does in the Prem. I think he's a very good player for the Prem because he can control games. So we shall see. I think he's a good player to have. And for me, it's a 7.5.
10.5. Yeah. I think I'd say anything above like a 6.5 is good, isn't it? You know, like or maybe above a 7 is quite good.
I would say yeah.
Okay. The legend himself, of course, gone to Rosenborg. Announced that he's going to Rosenborg as well. A club legend will end off. Is the central midfielder Alexander Tettey.
Hold the badge,
mate.
Mwah.
Honestly,
my man.
I'll call him this season the 90th minute substitution. And by the way, guys, we're going by his performance this season. Let's just say, he's been great when he's come on. And like I said about the goalkeepers, you know, when they've had to step up, they have, and when Tettey's had to step up in terms of coming off the bench, whether you know, a lot of the time at the end of the game, he's had to look solid in the central defensive midfield, and he's done that for me. The past 9 seasons, he's served at the club now, and he struggled to perhaps play and perform for a full 90-minute game towards this season. You know, and I think that kind of shows the struggle of the championship itself. Hence why his time is sadly up, I think, with plans to return to Rosenborg. But I'll be quick and sweet on this one. I'm gonna go a 7 out of 10. A club legend without a doubt, guys. Let's remember that. But this season, I haven't seen him enough. I'm sure you'll have the stat on it, but I'll be surprised to if it's a big number of the amount of minutes he's played in the championship. But just a 7 for me out of 10. But without a doubt, a club legend, without a doubt.
He is. He's an absolute legend, isn't he? I mean, for me, if I could, I'd give him a 9 for his 9 years of service. Is it 9 years or is it 10 years?
9 years.
Maybe it's 9.
9 years. Yeah,
9
just
years,
in the 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to give him a 9 for his 9 years of service, but unfortunately not this season. I think past seasons, absolutely we'd get a 9 because he's been so integral through this period of Norwich. And he's gone through how many, I don't know how many managers it is, but blooming loads
Too
of them
many.
as you think about it. Alex Neil, what's his name?
Got Chris Hutton.
Yeah, Chris Hutton,
Paul Lambert right at the
obviously
start.
Farke, Lambert, like so many styles, and he's still been in the team. That shows how good he is. That no matter how many different styles of manager come in, he's still in that team. So absolutely fantastic, legend, and really needs to be appreciated for what he's done for the club. But unfortunately, the last 2 seasons now, maybe a bit more than that, he has been dropping off a bit. Bless him, he's got legs of glass, and yeah, he's had injuries, several injuries, and this season he's been a great servant to the club. He's kind of come into the first team squad when he's been needed. 19 games he's appeared, but only 5 of those have been starts. As you say, a lot of substitution appearances. But when he has played, on average, 72.8 touches a game. So he's still very involved, involved. He's also got 1 assist. His tackles have decreased to 0.6 a game, which again is showing of kind of the age and kind of all the injuries take upon him. And he's also had 1.4 clearances and 1.4 interceptions a game. So it's not been a bad season for him.
No.
Not terrible, but yeah, he's just kind of been there to come on the pitch and kind of calm things down towards the end of the game normally, and which he's done. But for that, I can only give him a 6.
6. That's fair enough. But, yeah.
But I love him. Love the guy. Also saw him once. Shout out to Roxon Barnes. Saw him at Roxon Barnes in his white Mini at the time.
Fair play.
So yeah,
you know what?
Absolute legend.
It's the great midfielders that drive the midfield. I'm going to go back to Conte. Conte drives a Mini.
He drives a Mini. Yeah.
It's the class of midfielders that do that.
Absolutely.
I'll rate that. Okay, central midfielders are done. I believe we've only got 2 attacking midfielders. It's only 4 attacking midfielders, so I'm going to say 3 attacking midfielders. But I'll let you have the first pick for the attacking midfielders. It can even. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the option. You can even go right mid or left mid. I'm spoiling you here, mate. Who are you choosing?
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go with central attacking midfielders, and I'm gonna go with Dowell.
Okay, Kieran Dowell. Yeah, Kieran Dowell.
Kieran Dowell. Yeah, well, I didn't know he had a song actually.
I think it's I've seen Chris Reeve do this. It's Dow.
Yeah, I've seen that. Shout out to Chris Reeve, by the way.
Yeah,
Legend.
Chris and Jack this season have been phenomenal, 100%, and they deserve fan of the season.
Fan of the season, which was I voted for them. Amazing,
Yeah,
they've really got me through this season.
Yeah.
Big applause to them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, boys.
We love you, boys. We love you.
But anyway, yeah. So Kieran's out for me, giving him a 7.5. So he had that injury kind of fairly early on, and even then he couldn't really get into the team because of how well other players were doing. From what we've seen towards the end of the season, he looks to me like a fairly natural, like potentially the heir to Wesley Hoolahan.
Fair.
I think
Okay.
it's a big statement, but I think so. I always have wanted Cantwell to be that after Madison left, but Cantwell hasn't quite been deployed in that position yet, which I'll talk about later. But no, yeah. So yeah, I think he could be the heir to Hoolahan. He's got 5 goals and 1 assist this season. He's creating 2.3 chances a game, 2.5 shots a game, with 1.3 of those on target. Weirdly, he's only completing 30.3 passes a game, and also weirdly, I was very surprised to see that he's making 1.6 tackles a game. So he's getting involved, which is nice to see. So yeah, I've been pleased with him. Not played as many games as kind of you'd like, but that's just circumstances being as they have. But yeah, interested to see what he does in the Prem, and I'd be interested to see if he has a place in the starting 11. We'll have to see.
Oh, I'm going to join you there in 7.5 out of 10 because I've done the exact same. I feel pressure in some ways for Dow this season because they give him the number 10 kit, haven't they? The number 10 kit number, a bit like Godfrey last season. They gave him the number 4, big number to succeed with, isn't it? You know, and a bit like Todd. You know, it hasn't had the perfect start, but has ended the season brilliantly. And he's got the potential going forward, especially in the Premier League. 100%. I'm glad he's going there with us. He may be our new set piece specialist, shall I say, after Vrancic going. He's been brilliant at free. I think it's been about 3 free kicks he's scored this season, hasn't it? Yeah, and he's without a doubt got the right attitude. You know, like you say, he's not messing about here. He's proven himself to Farke all the while when he starts, and putting himself into tackles or playing the way as a true playmaker with Emmy and Pookie, and. Yeah, he's in this squad, taking his chances, doing the right layoff passes, I've noticed, to the last man, normally obviously being Pookie a lot of the time. And it's all from having that confidence and self-belief, you know. And that, you know, that's key to have, you know, and he's had that all. He's got to have that all of next season as he continues to grow as a player. He's very, very decisive with the actions on the field as that attacking midfielder. Something that he's got to have in the midfield. He's got to have, you know, going off topic a little, but Sterling hasn't got that decisiveness as what Dow has in the Championship, and that self-belief doing that. There's still a lot to come from Dow. Don't get me wrong, but we're starting to see the ball tie now, where he's getting used to the Farke Ball, as we call it, and he's coming through massively, and he's really looking as a strong number 10, shall we say. A contribution as well, the free kick against Derby, that got us a 1-0. And I tell you what, the 7-0 thriller over Huddersfield, he was really strongly part of that, and getting involved all the while in that game. So 7.5 out of 10, yeah.
I think that's fair. Right, so next then.
Yeah, who are we going for?
What are we? Who are we saying is central attacking midfielders?
I've got.
Continue.
I've got Cantwell, Dow, Steeperman. Now, and I was going to say you could say Josh Martin as well, but I don't know whether we see him more as a left mid.
He's more of a winger, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'll tell you what, I'll give you the choice of Steeperman or Cantwell. And I tell you what, we'll do the God himself, which the man who got player of the season. We'll do him last. I'm not going to say his name. I know everyone out there right now knows who I'm on about, but I want that suspense, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Steeperman or Callum.
Okay. I'm going to go with Steeperman then.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously last time we got promoted, he was pivotal, absolutely pivotal, one of our best players that season, and it was so amazing to see him move from a left back role to central midfield and then to central attacking midfield. He was so important, and then going into last season in the Prem, he just went missing, didn't he? Just didn't hardly do anything. Bless him. I think I was going to put out a missing persons statement. And then he comes this season, and so he's played 18 games, only started 12, and the only reason really that he's played is because of other injuries. He's got 1 goal and 2 assists in those games, but he's lost that spark, and I'm starting to think maybe that season was just a purple patch for him. Maybe it was a fluke. That season he did so well. Maybe it was a fluke, and maybe his level is the level that we saw in his first season in a Norwich shirt, and what we saw in the Prem and what we saw this season. Maybe that's just his level. So disappointing for me, because I thought coming down to the Championship we were going to see the best of him again, but we just haven't really. He's got a conversion rate as little as 4.55%. Yikes! I think mine would be higher than that, and I'm dyspraxic. Anyway, he's creating 1.6 chances a game, which isn't bad. It's good, but he's only completing 27.8 passes a game, and it makes me think that he's not on the ball much because maybe players don't trust him. And I think it's also because so much work is being done in that central midfield role. So anyways, for me, I'm giving Steeperman, I wasn't sure about a 6 or a 6.5, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say 6.5, I think.
Yeah, I've actually gone 6.5 too. Yeah, I've gone 6.5 too. I think I've done the same in some cases, benefit of the doubt. We haven't seen enough of him really, you know, and I don't know whether it's that belief from Farke of whether we do start him or not. When we had that injury dry out throughout the November, he did spend that 1 game against Coventry as a striker, and it's crazy to think a left back, central attacking midfielder, and a striker. He's doing it all over the field. I tell you what, for the team, he's doing great, and as in like serving these positions and being for us, you know, at last minute kind of thing. But he did also score the goal, we will say, against Swansea in the first game that we played against Swansea, and that was 3 points right there. Other players that are getting ahead of him, though, let's just be honest now. You know, Kieran Dow, he's starting obviously a lot throughout the season, the end of the season. Steeperman not in the squad. And am I surprised about this? Not really. You know, it's just been a dry season for him. And the thing is what you've got to ask. Is he Premier League quality? I don't think he is, and he'll just be another player who isn't getting game time. But we are gonna be paying the wages for, and we need to be ruthless in a way as a business and a club.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because you need to be ruthless, but at the same time you need depth, and he offers good depth.
Yeah, for sure.
But then I was thinking, but as a player, as an individual player, do you think maybe it might be useful to him, maybe to either go back to Germany and maybe to a Bundesliga 2 team, because I don't think he'd get into the Bundesliga, or he goes back to the Championship, because obviously he did very well in the Championship last time. So I don't know, but yeah, I can't see him getting much time in the Premier League second time around. So,
yeah, his future's a little undecided, isn't it? You know, he's got the right intentions for sure, but I don't. The tempo instantly increases when he goes to the Premier League, and he doesn't match it. You know, he hasn't got the right speed for it, and it is a 6.5 because of that. Of course, other seasons he's done great, but individually going for this season, 6.5 only. So yeah, and we will move on to our last attacking midfielder, which is Mr. Todd Cantwell, of course, the man himself, the number 14 hero. With Todd, it's weird. And I think he played a lot better in the Premier League than he does in the Championship. I think he suits that league more. I think he's got a little bit too big for his boots this season. We saw like a few no look passes, which I think he's done. I mean, I think he done 3 against. Oh God, I really can't remember now. But every one of the 3 non look passes that he done in this one game, we were dispossessed, and he carried on. He done it against Barnsley, I believe, the last game of the season, and he is a player who struggled to get into the start of the season because of injuries. His best game for me was at Huddersfield 7-0 win because he covered everywhere on the pitch. He was like Buendia that day as a free position playmaker. You know, go where you want in certain areas. If you feel the attack is heavily focused on the right, you go there. You know, if you think you can get a goal out of it or key playmaking out of it there, and I'd love to see his heat map from that game. The only thing with Todd this season, and like I said, is he's getting too big for his boots. A little bit selfish in some ways and messing up. There's no disrespect to how his natural talent, of course, it's there, but that's the only fault for me. And his end product could have perhaps been a little bit better too in some cases this season. Because you've got to remember, I won't judge the end product of, let's say, Giannoulis or Aarons because it's different. It's a different position there that they are. But Todd is a central attacking midfielder, and his end product could just be a little bit better. But there's still, obviously, like I said, an obvious natural ability. A great dribbler on the ball. Can easily get in the final third. But that end product just needs to be replicated, like how Emi does it and Pookie does it, you know. And the free making role that Farke has given him this season has worked great as well. And he perhaps needs to step up in some ways individually himself. But an 8 out of 10, I think, is good for him this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny enough, I've actually gone with the same, and I was just thinking then, do I put him up to an 8.5? But I think 8 is a fair rating. It's difficult with Cantwell because everyone has a bit of a different connection to him compared to some of the other players because he's a Durham Deco. He's a Norfolk boy, so I think, but that means that when there are the highs, they're even higher because of that connection they have with people. But when he has lows, they're even lower because of the expectation that we have of him. And we want him to be lifted up and to be this amazing player because he's ours. He's a Durham boy. So I think, yes, he's done well this season. He's got 6 goals and 6 assists. Yeah. I think maybe people forget that. It's good. It's good for the Championship. It's not maybe as many as I would think, but then it's because players like Buendia have stepped forward and have kind of taken over a bit. I think it's funny that we talk about him here in the centre attacking mid role because I think he's actually been deployed more on the left or either wing this year.
He's
whereas I think
through Dow's...
I think he should be. I think he should be more in the central attacking midfield role. I've always wanted him to play here because I've always wanted him to be the heir to Maddison. So I think so I'd like him to play here because he just, for me, doesn't really work as a winger. Yes, he's got the pace, but he hasn't got the crossing ability. He's only making 0.6 crosses a game. So whereas other players, other wingers, which we'll talk about later, are making a lot more and their accuracy is very high. So for me, he doesn't really work as a winger, and it would be so much better for him to move in permanently into the central right behind Pookie. I think he's still done very well. It's just not his best season for me. Like you said, I think he suits the Prem better. Championship is very rough and tumble, and I don't think Todd's one of those players necessarily. The good thing about him in the Championship, though, is that he kind of takes advantage of that rough and tumble nature of the Championship, and he wins a lot of fouls. He wins on average 3.1 fouls for us a game, which does work for us. So he's got a take-on success of 60.92, and he's completing 42.2 passes a game, which is very good for a player in this position on the pitch. So I think he's good. I just think it's not his best season for me, but still very good, and that shouldn't be underestimated. So yeah, going with an 8.
Yeah, I think it's a fair one for him. Yeah, he's had a contribution of that Cardiff game as well. The goal got us the 3 points and a real good goal as well. Quick question with him obviously getting into the rumours a bit. With the transfers, do you see him going over the summer? Because he's one. We talked. Obviously, you talked about Kenny earlier, where he's a bit of an old midfielder. Doesn't really, the online world doesn't appeal to him. But Todd is always kind of a lot of the time on Instagram. Do you think Todd is sniffing out a move out of Carrow Road this season?
I'd be very sad if he did. Again, he's a Durham boy, and it's that fantasy of you don't really have players anymore that are from where the team is that actually play in the first team. So I would be upset if he did, but I can also see why he would. I mean, you look at, he's going to obviously, the most obvious one to look at is Maddison. He looks at Maddison, he goes to Leicester, and Maddison could go somewhere even bigger than Leicester if he wanted to. So I think that's going to be very appealing to him, but I don't think he should. I think he's still a fairly big fish in a smaller pond at Norwich, whereas I think if he goes to a bigger team, he's going to suddenly turn into a very small fish in a massive pond. Say if he went to a Liverpool or he went to Man United, and he just wouldn't get the time. He wouldn't get the play time for me. So why all they'd do is loan him out again. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be worth him going. I think he should stay here with us, and maybe that's selfish, but I want him to stay. Of course I do.
Yeah, 100%. And Premier League football's got to be an attractive offer,
Yeah, exactly. It would be different if it was going to be another year of Championship football, but we're going up to the Prem.
Yeah, true.
So stay with us. You did so well with us last time in the Prem.
100%, mate. 100%. And I've always said as well, the big bounce here is the bounce back, and it's getting back up to the Premier League in the one season that we've got in the Championship, and that's been achieved. But the pressure was on the line because I don't think we would have been able to keep these big players if we were serving a second season in the Championship. Luckily, it hasn't been the case, and we can go on. And the summer is anyone's playground really with the transfer market. But yeah, good assessment there. Yeah. Okay then. So we've just got pretty much the left wingers. Left wing, right wing, right midfield, left midfield to go, and of course the three strikers. Let's start with. We'll go for the left because there's three players on the left. We'll go for Josh Martin because we did mention about him. I'll keep this one short because it's the case of 9 games he's played this season, and the question lies here: have we seen enough of him this season? Perhaps he needs to go out on loan next season. I'll say straight away. I thought of a team, ideally, and me and some other boys chat about this in a group chat. I've even chatted to a Wickham fan about it. To go to Wickham. Obviously, there'll be League One next season.
In League One, really? Do you not think he would be better going to a team in the Championship?
I'd like that, and a shame to see Wickham go down, but maybe Derby under Rooney.
Luton?
Luton would be great, yeah. If Barnsley don't get up, Barnsley. Another player, perhaps. I said about this earlier, but I'm thinking we've got to keep him. But Adam Eder to go on loan, maybe. But all he needs is experience, and I'm worried he won't get that in the Premier League. His only goal of the season was the Sheffield Wednesday one at home, the 2-1 win. And he had an attacking eye that game, with the goal. He could see the passage of play happening right there in front of him. And it happened that he got into the final third and scored, and it was a nice finish. I do like him. The potential was 100% there, for sure. But for him to get that high mark, he needs to play more for him, for me. And yeah, it's just a 6.5 out of 10. I feel it's harsh in a way to give him a 5 because obviously he is young still, 19 years of age. But sooner or later, his time's got to come where he is getting experience under his belt.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think I've actually gone for 6.5 as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's played 9 games this season, but only 6 starts. Got that goal and an assist as well. Um, but I think, yeah, I think he needs to go out on loan for me. But the funny thing is, he played a lot at the start of the season, and he looked really good. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got injured or someone else came back from injury, which is why he dropped out of the team. But
I think it was that. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like the biggest player in the team, and then suddenly he was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you say, I don't think he'll get the time in the Prem. So we shall see. But I think he's a promising young lad, yeah, it would be nice to see him do big things in the future.
Maybe even give him to Cardiff on loan next season. I know they got the ex-Ipswich manager Mick McCarthy, but you know they may be like favourites. I know that. Mate, I'm thinking of all the Mick McCarthy memes now. They're just coming to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, experience is needed there, innit? Okay then. We could, if you want, you can say. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll stay on the left with the 2 players that I've got left on the left. Yeah, you're cool. It's either a Polish man or a Cuban man.
Well, I think we can rattle through these because neither of them have played a massive amount. So I'll start with Hernandez.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Hernandez in the Farke era has been one of my favourite players to watch because he's so quick and he's got so much power, and he's fantastic. And I can remember, I think you were with me this night. We were at Wetherspoons at the Queen of Iceni, and he was there at the bar with a woman either side of him.
I mean, that the last part you said does not surprise me one bit. I know it's just a total geezer, but was I there? Oh,
I'm pretty sure you were.
Oh, fair play to him. Yeah, maybe I was just drunk. I just couldn't remember.
It's so funny. It's just because he's got such an attitude about him. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him on Norwich's Instagram page.
Oh, the Cuban cigar.
Massive, with the cigar and the trophy. He's such a
epic
dude.
photo.
But
epic.
Yeah, but playing wise this season, I mean, he's had the injury, so he's played 26 but only started 6. Played 21, only started 6. He's got 0 goals, 0 assists. He's only touching the ball 45.5 times a game. Still creating 1.3 chances. Only got 0.7 shots on target a game. And he's got 2 yellow cards. For me, similar to the next player that we're going to talk about, particularly this season, it feels like a lot of running down the wing. A lot of intent with no end product for me this season anyway. So I'd love to see him come back next season and have more of a role, but I'm worried that maybe he hasn't got a place in the squad, because I think this championship season, the fact that we've gone straight back up, it's a bit of an auditioning season to see who's good enough to go in the starting 11 next season, and obviously not good for Hernandez. Not fair that he's been injured, but still, even when he has played, I don't think he's set the world alight. So we shall see. I don't want him to leave because I think he has a great impact on the team, even when he comes off the bench, when he's having a good day. But so we shall see. But for me, I feel like it's harsh now I'm saying it out loud. I think it's just because I have such expectations of him, such high expectations of him, and I normally love him. But for me, I've gone for a 5.
Oh yeah, fair. Now I think that's just stated that I've massively gave him the benefit of the doubt. I've gone for a 7.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
Yikes,
maybe I've given the true benefit of the doubt. I feel he's just
really
been a little unlucky, and I tell you what, he's the one player who I've just wanted to see score because it would do him the world of good. Yeah, he's been there for cover, hasn't he? Though this season, really sadly, and he hasn't been a key starter under Farke like he has before with Farke. He's always looked rapid for me, and that first game against Huddersfield, he was close to scoring. I tell you what, he was really close, and he's fast, and he is rapid, and he's strong, and I'm not sure on how his fitness was this season. That kind of poses a question because he hasn't played in the 21 games he's played. He's not completed a full game out of those 21.
Yikes.
So yeah, that's another question on that, and a little unfortunate, but also confusing because last season I'm seeing him outclass the Man United defence and score, and then this season I'm seeing him have a completely off the grid, and it's just been unquestionable. It really has, and I miss the old Anel. I do, because he's a chicky chappy on the field, and he's proper life of Norfolk now, isn't he? He loves life in Norwich, and I think it will be hard to get him out if they want to. I don't want him to go, but it will be hard. He's Mr. Argos himself, but he hasn't. He lives and breathes Argos. He hasn't had the time though to prove himself for me, and maybe I should just give him a 6 out of 10. But I'm gonna stick with what I've got. Do I change? Maybe I'm giving him the massive benefit. No, I got to change.
You really are.
I've got to change, haven't I? Because
you're going to 6.
I think it's that Cuban cigar in me getting to me. But I'm gonna go 6 out of 10. I'm gonna change and go 6 out of 10 because
I think that's fair.
It's just been upsetting to see him not being as a main starter. And we'll get on to
that's your Argos sponsorship gone then.
Oh no, yeah, and if I ever wanted to know on a podcast, I'm sorry, mate. I still love you, and I'll buy a Cuban cigar. I'll buy you. Honestly. We'll go for the last one on the left then. Prezislav Slorbalheta. I've been practicing that all day.
Well done.
No. I might not got the first name right, but I'm confident I got the surname right there. He's like Josh Martin. Perhaps got maybe. No, I'm not going to say put him out on loan next season because I feel he will suit the Premier League. But he is like Martin in the sense that he hasn't started or had too much game time to look at. In some cases, I want more games where he's starting on the field than anything. Hasn't been that great. I can't lie this season. He's played more games than Martin for sure, but hasn't been that great. And I think the one thing he's lacking is the end product. I think he's definitely got the agility and the pace, the speed. We could tell that from the first game of the season against Huddersfield. But he just hasn't got the end product. And that's the only thing that he is really lacking. And I read as well, he once ran 30 metres in 3.8 seconds.
Yikes!
Yeah, it's mad. But I do see him fitting into the Premier League, and I don't know whether I've talked to the boys on the Nelson before my other mate Callum, his podcast. We've talked about whether it will be the case of Todd Cantwell, as in the championship winning season last time out, 2018 to 19. Cantwell was in the squad now and then, had squad involvement. But he wasn't looking too amazing. And then in the Premier League, we played Chelsea, we start him, Man City, we start him, and it's bold moves, but we could see why, because at that point he found himself in the spotlight there. Whether it will be the same for Plaheta, I do not know, but I've got a good feeling it will, because his speed completely matches the tempo of the Premier League and what you've got to be in this league. Fast players like Saint Maximin are loving the Premier League because they can cope with it. Mane as well. Okay, he's been a little off the grid this season as well, Sadio Mane. But take a player like Phil Foden, class player, and he's fast as well. And if Plaheta's got that speed, then that's great. But end product needs to be worked. So it's a 6 out of 10 for me this season. But hey, next season it could even be an 8 out of 10. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I've gone for a 6 as well, actually. It's funny you say kind of about him in the Prem. I think for me, less of a Saint Maximin and more of a Dan James.
Okay,
And Dan James did well in the Championship, whereas
Welsh Wizards
hasn't done as well. So I think, but then Plaheta's had to make this move from a complete different country over to England. So you've got to kind of weigh it all up. But I think Plaheta reminds me a lot of Redmond in a lot of ways.
Yeah, okay.
In that
speed.
In that, just like Hernandez, he's got that speed. I think Poeta is even quicker though for me, but he just doesn't have, as you say, he just lacks that end product.
Yeah.
He absolutely blisters down that side, and then doesn't know what to do with it, or will maybe hit a shot off, and it will just fly out somewhere. He just hasn't got the composure and the football brain there yet for me. He's got one goal this season, but he loses possession 14.6 times a game. He's taken 0.8 shots a game, and creating 1.5 chances, but yeah, it's just the end product for me. But I'm interested to see what will happen in the Premier League. I think he'd be brilliant coming on as a sub in the Prem. You just imagine that injection of pace into a team and just completely catch the opposite team off guard. I think that would be really, really effective.
I can see it now, honestly. I can see it. Late minute goal, and we beat Man City again. I can see it now, honestly. I might even quickly get on Sky Bet. Okay, yeah. We need more from player. Come on, man. Next season's your game. So that leaves us with a certain right midfielder left and 3 strikers remaining. So the final 3 strikers we'll do first. We'll leave the special striker, of course, till last. I love how I'm like hiding names, but I just want the suspense of it all. You know me. Okay, I'm gonna start with Adam Eder. Actually, I'm gonna start with Adam Eder.
Whoa! Wait 1 second. Are we not talking about our Lord and Saviour yet? Are we talking about him last?
Our Lord and Saviour.
As in the last midfielder.
100%. He's coming last. Best till last, as they say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Best till last. I know. Yeah. We're skipping midfielders. Well, for him anyway.
Okay.
And we're going straight to the old forwards.
Okay, we're going to Eder then.
Adam Eder. Yes. 100%. He's okay. So I'm going to say what I'm going to give him. 7 out of 10. I think every time he's came on this season, he's brought on energy. When he's came off the bench, and from a little amount of time he's played this season, I think we said earlier something like 320 minutes, isn't it? Across, I've got on here 17 games. He's impressed me when he's came on, and he's looked strong on the ball, and I think he's actually a better finisher than Hugel as well. I've maybe controversial in some.
I probably agree with that.
But
with his feet, I'd agree.
He makes lovely layoff shots from his right foot. The finishes are brilliant, and we saw that in both the games against Huddersfield at the start of the season, and funnily enough, we saw that at the final game of the season against Barnsley. He does sadly just need some more game time again, as he's starting to shape in a good replacement for Pukki when he goes. But I think he's still young enough at the age of 20 to still get away of, even though he hasn't had the game time and he might not look prolific on that many games. He's still a great player, and we can still rank him high in some cases. He's still got potential, basically what I'm trying to say. And every game that he's been included in, he has worked hard. Strong forward. I can't wait to see him in the Premier League. I want to see more of him. I want to see. I'm not saying start him each week, but bring him off the bench. 10 minutes end game against Liverpool, where we're drawing 1-1. Let's say if it happens, and Eder scores right at the end. Then oh my god, how brilliant for the kids. So just a 7 out of 10 for me. But room for improvement.
Okay. I've gone with a 6.5, but I'm tempted to say 7.
That's fair. Are you going to change like me?
It's difficult because he's had 16 sub appearances and he's only had 1 start. Because obviously I gave I've got trying to say his name now. Omobama Daily.
Omobama Daily, yeah.
Yeah. So I gave him a 7.5, and he made I think. He made more starts, but a similar amount of appearances in general, and I gave him a 7.5. And I just done very well, not as well as those standards, I think. So 6.5, 7. We'll keep it at 6.5, I think. But very promising. Very promising. He takes 3.1 shots a game with an accuracy of 72.73%. That's amazing. That's really amazing. He's also creating 1.7 chances a game as well. He's got 3 goals and an assist all season. But saying that he's only had 1 start, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So no, I think he's really promising, and I'd love to see him play more in the Prem. But because I would think that he would be the second choice striker over Hugo for me. I mean, Hugo offers that. We'll talk a bit more in a second. But Hugo offers that more of an aerial threat. But I think overall, Ida is a better striker in general.
Yeah.
For me, he's faster, better with his feet. So yeah, I'd have him as our second striker next season.
Say if we do have these three strikers next season, I know we will, unless like a drastic change happens. But Hugo, Pukki, Ida, do you buy another striker still, just to create competition there?
It depends, because who knows, maybe Ida's going to want to get more game time, maybe wants to go on loan somewhere. Potentially, again, could do very well at, say, a Luton, or even better than that, say maybe a Reading.
Reading.
Or maybe even a Cardiff.
If Bournemouth don't go up,
I don't know, I think
maybe then.
Yeah, no, he'd fit in well at Bournemouth, better than Dominic Solanke, that's for sure. I think, I don't know, it depends. I think we don't want to have a massive reliance like we did before on Pukki. And do I trust Ida? I keep saying Ida or Ida. I don't know which one it is. I'm going to go with Ida.
I mean, all the Norwich grammar guys are going to come out at us in a minute. I think it's Ida, though. I'm not too sure.
Well, before they do, I'm dyslexic, so shut your mouths. Would I be comfortable if Pukki gets injured or as having a dry spell? Would I be comfortable with Ida as our first team striker? I don't know.
Because it happened last season. Like what you said there exactly. Pukki having a dry spell happened, didn't it? Like started the season off brilliant, but it's a case of like what's another team? I tell you, Man City. You know, if Gabriel Jesus is having a dry spell, that's okay. They'll start Aguero, or they have this season whilst he's still there. But it's whether Ida can do the job and for the boots, isn't it? You know. But I feel we've ranked him fairly. You know, you can't be too high with him because he hasn't had too many minutes. However, Hugo, on the other hand, has had more minutes, even though Pukki's been the more favourable striker. I've said him as the heading specialist. You know, and I do feel sorry for Hugo in a way because the club brought him in for competition against Pukki, and Timu soaked that all up and performed highly and still got in the team over him. He's played 31 games, and in the 31 games of football, that adds up to 2,790 minutes. But Jordan has only played 674 minutes in the 31 games. So just I think it's Ida on 300 minutes, something like that roughly, and Jordan Hugo on 674. But like I know Hernandez, it's hard to review him from the lack of games. Another player who hasn't. You know, it fits our criteria 5+ games, but hasn't had enough games for us to review really in certain areas.
And only seven of those have been starts as well.
Yeah, because obviously Pukki was out, and he also had that time Pukki where he was trying to make it back from the international game that he started on Finland. So Hugo was needed there, and don't get me wrong, he's tried his hardest to step up Hugo in front of Pukki. It's hard to step up.
Well, you saw him in the final game of the season. Hugo played because I can't remember. Pukki had a bit of a nick, didn't he? He recovers from that.
Yeah, I think it's injury on his knee, and there's doubts now whether he'll start for the Euros. Sadly, for Finland.
Oh God, that'll really affect them.
That's their that's their key player, isn't it? That's their like Gareth Bale of the team.
Yeah. I think. You finished with Hugo?
What have I got at the end? Just a little positive though. I've noticed he has kept up with the rhythm of the play. You know, when he attacks, and he'll line up for the tap in, and that's whether it's a little tap in off his foot or a header. I do gotta say, his jumping ability is something else. You know, he's so strong in the box, demands that ball to go to him. But he just hasn't got that same technical ability as Pukki, and not that same finishing as Pukki, and or even Ida. And like I said, Ida is a better finisher, I'll say. But Yeah, maybe it's a lost cause. 28 years of age. Maybe it's a lost cause bringing them to the Prem. I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, it just stinks of Jordan Rhodes, doesn't it?
It does.
It's
Yeah, sadly it does. Same name.
it's another yeah, it's just another Jordan stopgap. But we've had, I mean, every team has these, and we've had them throughout the years. Kind of just players who were there when the first team striker can't quite hack it. I mean, Carl Lafferty, Becchio,
Yeah.
some better than others. Like
Ricky Van
all through
Wolfswinkel.
the years. Well, he was brought in as a first team striker there, wasn't he? And that was, well, that's a video for another day.
Yeah, the Van Wolfswinkel rant will happen one day, folks. Don't get me wrong.
We will one day. The wolf. But yeah, so I've given Hugel a 6.5. He's got 4 goals, but one of those goals was a penalty. He's got a conversion rate of 19.05%. He takes 2.8 shots a game with an accuracy of 57.14. He wins 1.4 fouls a game. He only creates 0.7 chances a game, but he's not really a creator. Really, he's not there as a creator. He's there as that that aggressive. He's like that Hanley of strikers, is what he is. He's that aggressive guy who will just knock his head in. Hopefully, the ball goes just back of the net. Doesn't always. Yeah, no, he's a good player to have in that way, but is he Premier League quality? No. West Ham showed that. West Ham didn't give him a chance in the Premier League, but I'd be interested to see. I think he'll score goals. I think he'll get a few headers. Don't get me wrong, but I certainly wouldn't want him as the starting striker in the Prem for sure.
Yeah, tell you what he's like. He's a bit like a Olivier Giroud role for Chelsea, Yeah, and this is a bit like discrediting Hugo in a way, because Giroud is older, and it makes sense Giroud would be like this. Whereas in some cases Hugo shouldn't be like this, because he's 28 years of age, and Pukki's older yet still got a better natural ability, and is. Okay, it's a shame if it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out in life. But Hugo, yeah, perhaps he can come on late off the bench for the last 5 minutes and get a late header. If we get a corner right at the end, he gets a last minute header and it's absolute limbs, as they say. I don't know if I said my rating for him, but I'm going 7 out of 10. Yeah, same kind of rating.
7,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same as Ida, haven't I? Yeah, but we shall see. Yeah. All eyes on them. So yeah, best two till last. Pukki, Buendia. Like I said, Buendia last, so that means Pukki will be the first one. Okay. Now, do you want to go first, or shall I to suck up all of this about him, everything good about him?
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna be really selfish. I'm gonna take it. Right.
Do it. My first question is he the GOAT of the team?
He was last season. Obviously, as we said, he had dry periods. But overall, he was the only reason that we didn't do a derby from all those years ago and be really abysmal. But yeah, I mean, as we say, Buendia is last, so Buendia is the best player in this team. But still, he's definitely one of the best. Got to be probably second best for me, or close anyway. So I've given him a 9.
Same here.
I've given Pukki. So he's played 41 games. In those 41 games, 26 goals. And then that's also how many assists?
4 I've got on mine.
4 assists 4, as well.
Yeah.
And the great thing about those 26 goals is it's not just on one foot, 19 on the right foot, 6 on the left foot. So he's 2-footed. Yes, 5 of those 26 goals are from penalties. But you often see that in the Premier League. Harry Kane would have scored, say, 30 goals, but 8 of those are penalties. So it happens. So he's not a top goal scorer, unfortunately. Like I think he was a top goal scorer last time in the Championship. He hasn't scored as many goals as that this time, but still 26.
Ivan Toney's just stuck in there,
really
hasn't
brilliant.
he?
Yeah, so Ivan Toney with 31 and 10 assists, but Ivan Toney this season, I mean, we've stopped him when we've played him. But even Tony has just been incredible, just amazing. And also, Pookie doesn't even get second place; he gets third place because Adam Armstrong comes in with 28 goals and 5 assists.
See, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, no, Adam Armstrong's had a cracking season. But then, the question here is, would you say is Pookie, despite that, would you say Pookie is the best striker in the league? What do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I think because you look at Ivan Toney, a younger age, Adam Armstrong still a younger age, and then Pookie, 31 years old, and he's in the middle of them all. That's a very good question. I want to say yes, but I do feel
Is that because of the bias though?
That's the thing.
Try to be unbiased about it.
It's so hard. Yeah. Maybe I just got to go with numbers wise and say Tony is, but I do think Pookie's better than Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Armstrong has potential. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
But then you also look at it. Pookie's in a better team than both of them.
Yeah.
So that obviously helps him. But I think Pookie does a lot. Thing is with Pookie, there's one thing I found when I was looking at the stats. He hasn't actually been as active as he's been in past seasons. He hasn't worked as hard. He hasn't had as many touches in the ball. On average, he's only getting 28.5 touches a game. So he's not as involved. But I think the thing for him is just his movement. His movement and his positioning is definitely the best in the league. Even in the Premier League, I'd say for movement and finishing, he'd be in top 10 for sure. I think, and it's something that it's very difficult to teach to a player. He's just got it. He just knows. He just runs it. And the thing is, because he's got the players around him, like Buendia, who we'll talk more about in a minute, he just trusts them. He has absolute trust in them. He knows if he gets in position, they will be there and they will ping a ball into him.
Yeah.
He just has that absolute trust, and that's also a lot to do with the management and the team behind the scenes in general. That trust and that atmosphere that they're creating must be amazing in that dressing room. But no, he's done amazingly this season. 1.6 shots on target a game, conversion rate of 26.53%. He also creates 1.4 chances a game, so he's a bit of a creator as well. But as I say, he's not as involved as he would be before. He only completes 12 passes a game. 12.
Yeah.
On average.
I think that's
mental.
The midfield are doing the work for him, aren't they? Yeah.
It's very true. Yeah, I think it's a token to the team behind him that are doing so much of the work. This season he hasn't had to do as much as maybe he has the last season or even the season before, because he's got that engine room behind him, particularly in skip. I'd say he's a fantastic season. I wouldn't say he's been the best striker in the league this season, but I'd say he's second.
Yep, I'll go that.
Only because of the ridiculous season that Tony's had. But I'd say particularly when you add on his previous season of the Championship, I'd say that he's probably one of the best strikers that the Championship has ever seen.
Yeah.
You can quote that.
I will for sure. He would get in like the team of the past century. Perhaps he would easily get into that. And yeah, I will be unbiased and easily say Tony is being the best striker because he comes from Peterborough in League One and plays in the Championship and performs well, whereas Pookie's been there before and he's done it before and he's doing it again. And is there some surprise there? Probably not, probably not. But yeah, he has actually been phenomenal still. And there was doubt on the line. There was actual doubt on the line that he wouldn't hack it like he has. And I'm pretty sure some people say, Hugo's going to be the new main man there. Well, no, it hasn't been that at all. And Pookie's proved these people wrong. There's true experience there with Pookie, and I think we underestimate it in a way where he has been before. Sevilla, Celtic, played in Bromby in Sweden as well. And Schalke, because he played in the Champions League as well. It's crazy. And how he hits the ball, the specific angle he picks, to know as well as the timing on his run as well that he makes, that brilliant self-awareness and that wonderful dribbling. One of the best strikers to ever play for Norwich. You can quote that one. I think as well.
Better than Grant Holt?
So this is it. for me, the discussion with Grant Holt and Pookie, I do think Grant Holt is better, or was better, shall I say now. But I'll tell you what, Pookie ain't far off. I do tell you that.
See, do you know what I think? I think people get. I think Grant Holt was amazing, and he's a legend. And I've got 2 of my shirts signed by him, which I'm very pleased to have. And he's amazing. He's one of my favourite players of all time. However, I think people get a bit too romantic about it. And you look at it. Just look at the stats. Pookie's better. I think Pookie's better. I think his positioning is better. I think Grant Holt was more physical and maybe more of a leader, because Pookie isn't necessarily a leader. He's quite quiet on the pitch, actually. But Pookie's always there. His finishing is better than Holt for me. Finishing is better than most players in the Championship, and probably better than a lot of players in the Premier League as well. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and I think Farke has to take so much credit for it, because things haven't clicked before Norwich. He did well at Bromby, yes, but in that league, he's done it now in the Championship and in the Premier League. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Will forever be a legend of this club.
I think that it's an ongoing debate whether who's better, Pookie or Holt. I just think Grant Holt did show up in more bigger games. But that's still no disrespect to Pookie. He's been, like I said, phenomenal. He's always concentrated, determined to score. And if you're a defender holding the ball in the box on the opposition side, you need to be aware of Pookie. You need to know where he is. And why is that? His work ethic is the best on the field, in games this season. He's always there in space, the same space to be in, to score goals. And he's simply a sharp shooter. The process that he follows of a quick turn to face the goal, assessing his surroundings, hits the ball just right in order to take the shot, and normally a lot of the time he scores. And he beautifully complements the team as well. Shows the value of passing it around the back from the 2 central defenders, or even the fullbacks coming in, of them passing it around the back. And then the midfield of, let's say, McLean and Skip, constantly looking out as playmakers. They can offer the long balls, specifically McLean, like we said in the podcast. And of course, also Emmy or Todd can do the service as well. And they beautifully find a way to send the ball to Pookie through the pass. So he complements the whole team as a whole, shows our quality, and our quality lies within Pookie scoring the goals. And I think that's huge credit there. Surprisingly, I put Skip as a 9.5, because I do think Skip's a massive player this season. So Pookie,
I didn't realise that, actually.
Pookie's a 9 out of 10. Pookie's a 9 out of 10. Yeah, for me.
You really think that Skip's been more important than Pookie this season?
Yeah. I think we haven't noticed it. It's just happened naturally for us, because after a while you look at the first game of the season against Huddersfield. He played brilliant in, and Huddersfield's perhaps they counter attack, and Skip wins the ball off them, and we, to begin with, our natural first reaction is that's brilliant. That's what we want in a defensive midfielder, and then we get used to this happening each week in out, and we also get used to Aaron's running up the field and joining the attack of his own role that Farke's offered him. So we get used to it. So 9.5 in a way, plus a 20-year-old coming to the Championship, has performed brilliantly on loan from Spurs. Okay, maybe you can say that the top 6 of Spurs, he should be a good player, but it's been surprising. He's been really surprising, and it's a massive hole to face without him there now. But yeah, I will say a massive 9 out of 10. Perhaps I should give him a 9.5, but just a 9 out of 10, yeah.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
And I will say now, the best till last, Callum. The Argentinian.
Okay, are you ready?
God. Okay. Should yeah. I think because the connection was slow. That's what we sounded like the night down spoons when Arno Hernandez was there. Yeah. I thought you were going to give you... we'll do 3, 2, 1, what you've given him out of 10. So 3, 2, 1, 10.
9.5.
He's the only player I've given a 10. He's the only player I've given a 10.
I was thinking about a 10, but I was just like, is anyone perfect? I was having a crisis about, is anyone perfect? What's perfect, Rob?
True. There's always room for improvement.
I gave him a 9.5. Yeah, and I think there is, and I think there is more he can improve on. Can he? I don't know. I mean, and I think maybe I'm taking into account that this is the championship, and of course he's the best player in the championship. Of course he is. I also think he's going to be one of the better players in the Premier League as well, particularly with the teams around us. Yeah, not perfect for me. I think maybe part of that is to do with his disciplinary record. Obviously he gets a bit fiery, which why he was left out a few games earlier on in the season and in the Prem as well. So I think if he can sort that out, then it would be a 10 for me. But then also that fieriness makes him Emi Buendia. So yeah, it's a difficult one. But no, I mean, amazing. What a complete performance this season. What a complete performance. In the 39 games that he did play, 15 goals and 16 assists.
Oh.
Wow.
Tell you what, shouts out Premier League.
31 goal involvements. That's amazing.
He's filthy.
It's just, and 3.4 chances created a game. More than anyone else in the team.
That's mad.
I can imagine more than most players in the entire league.
That's mad.
Mental 77.8 touches a game, so proper involved. He loses possession 19.9 times a game, but when you're involved as much as you are, of course that's going to happen. Like you can't make as many good moves as Emi Buendia does if you don't make a few mistakes, if you don't lose the ball a few times. He's making 2.2 shots on target a game, which is I think one of the highest in the team. He actually passes less than Cantwell, but that's because he's just so good on the ball. He doesn't need to pass it to anyone.
You're right.
It's just mental.
Yeah,
it's just so good. Such a complete performance. He wins us 2.2 fouls a game. He's also making 2.7 tackles a game. That is one of the best bits about Emi Buendia, is that not only is he so important to us attackingly, also defensively. Ever since he's joined us, he has been, before he was as good as he is attackingly, he was so important defensively on that right, particularly when you've got Max Aarons behind him, in that you can't have a really attacking right back if you've then got a right mid that isn't, or right attacking mid that isn't prepared to defend. And he really is. He puts everything into it. Emi Buendia just puts his whole heart and soul into every game he plays, and he's just phenomenal. I desperately want him to stay, but I can completely see him leaving.
It's a shame, and that's
a hefty fee. It's just at the end of the day, all we can do is demand as high a fee as possible. But you can understand why I'd want to leave. See what happens really for me.
Before I get onto him, yeah, you are right. It's desperate times to get him to stay. Someone tweeted it, but it's without a doubt true. He is our Zaha, he is our Grealish, and they've been able to stay, and we need to give everything we can to get him to stay. You know, offer him money, and this is the cases as well. Like of perhaps being ruthless in some areas, of getting rid of players like Marco Stiepermann. That allows more funds throughout the club to the freedom of offering perhaps Buendia a bigger contract. In some cases. Because all eyes are on him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal dive in right now and go for a second bid over the summer as well. And Leeds, Bielsa loves the look of him. Everyone does, I think. Everyone does, and I think from talking to a lot of top six fans this season, it's sad to see and hear, and also good. But they've all said, I would love Buendia at my team, and it's scary because these are Chelsea fans I'm talking to. These are Man City fans.
He could fit in anywhere, couldn't he? He could absolutely fit into Man City. I think he's better than Fernan Torres. For me. I think he could fit into Chelsea. He could fit into Liverpool. There wouldn't be a first team place for him.
No.
But still, he could take
United?
up the place of Shaqiri. Take up the place of Shaqiri. Could
Yeah.
go to United. He could go anywhere, and that's why it's so scary. It's so scary. But Spurs as well. Kassim at Spurs.
Easy Spurs. Yeah,
but he's better than Bergwijn. So yeah, he could go anywhere. I just desperately want him to stay.
Yeah, and it is frustrating because I also look at the team that were after him and came out and said it, Arsenal, and I do say Arsenal could do with him. As I think of it from a neutral point of view, but at the same time, of course, I'm going to be possessive and say no, he isn't leaving.
Why would he go there at the moment? They're not in a good state.
This is the thing, yeah, and this is why it's because I think it would be a different cup of tea right now if we just missed out on playoffs, a bit like Forest just missed out on playoffs, or Cardiff, shall I say, and we aren't going up, and Buendia is going to be officially on paper a championship player next season, because it's like giving a little fish in a pool full of sharks right now. If that was the case, they'd all go after him. And as much as he probably likes Norwich itself, I know he lives in Attleborough, and he does love Attleborough. Apparently, he loves the surroundings around there. Fair enough to him. And he is growing a family here in Norfolk now, and that is brilliant to see. But whether the case of a big team comes over and says, okay, I don't know the official numbers of what he's on, but let's say, okay, you're on 40,000 a week right now. Okay, 120,000 a week right now. We'll instantly triple it. You know, let's say.
Well, imagine Real Madrid come knocking. That's where he learned his trade at their academy. You're not saying no to Real Madrid, are you? Let's be honest.
But does he go? Well, you didn't see any luck in me through the academy. I had to go to Getafe and work my way up. Does he say no at that point? But
Essentially.
I have gave him a 10. And transitioning on from Pukki, on saying how Pukki complements the team from the goals scored, there's another player who allows this to be possible through his Argentinian creativity, as I've phrased it here, and that's Buendia.
Well, he's our Messi, isn't he? He is
literally.
Our Messi.
I've written that. Yeah. We did the impossible in some way by keeping him over the summer. And we were fortunately graced to see him transcend the whole of the championship. He's too good for this league, and he's completely overshadowed it right now. He has completely overshadowed it. That's why they've had to give him the Player of the Season award. You've completed this league. Here, have the trophy for it.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah, completed it, mate. And when I say like we say, he is the Lionel Messi of the championship, and it truly meant as well, because I don't know if you know this, Messi even came up to him in his time in Spain and said, look, I'll give you the option right now, Spain or Argentina, which one do you want to play? And Buendia openly admitted that you're at Argentina, Messi, and I would love to play with you, a player like you one day. So that also fits in with Barcelona comes in for him. By the sounds of it, he'll go straight away.
Well, this is the thing, because he had a call from Messi recently, didn't he? Congratulating him on Player of the Season and how well he's done. So who knows? Maybe that's the start of a move there. I mean, it would be a real kick in the teeth of Real Madrid, wouldn't it? It's happened before. R9 Ronaldo going between Madrid and Barcelona. I mean, you see it. Maybe he could be the long-term heir for Messi, because obviously Messi's been talking for a while about leaving.
Yeah, he really has.
So maybe he's the natural replacement. Yeah,
and it's scary to think of that, because I go back to like the analogy of this shark thing, and that they will swallow him up, even if we are promoted to the Premier League, sadly. A little stat I saw earlier actually on Twitter, accurate final third passes this season is 735 from him. That's the most in the league. And can I just say, second place Barry Bannon is second with the most accurate final third passes. That's on 577. So that big difference. It's unbelievable to think where we'd be without him in some senses. And you take it out, all of his goals and assists this season, with these goals and assists that have gave us points from on paper, then Norwich are left with 55 points, leaving us 15th, which is mad itself. And the only downfall here is he's a bit hot-headed. If someone annoys him, he'll certainly make them aware of that with a nasty tackle, let's say, and that's frustrated me this season because especially when he got suspended and he was out for a big Swansea game, and that was annoying. You know, it was annoying to not see him there because it had doubt on the line for us supporters at that point, whether we're still going to get top and get promoted. But I've loved his link-up play with Pookie this season as well. It's been fantastic. The passes are ridiculous that he's doing, and something he's done more of this season too, which I've noticed, is just testing each goalkeeper. You know, I don't know whether that's the confidence and self-belief from the Championship that has to naturally offer, but he's just gone for goal this season. He really has. All the goals he's gone for, and a lot of the time he's scoring these as well, like far out, sometimes not even in the box, and he takes a shot and it just goes in. And just finishing off as well, everything that we already knew about Berntier, everything that we knew he could do, he's done again this season, but he's done it and took it to another next level, you know, in such far better detail. Yeah, I have sympathy for some of the opposition players this season because he is untouchable, Berntier, and
oh, just amazing.
Success is there, you know, and it's from Emi Buendia, the magical coating that the team have had this season from the Argentinian, from him conquering the league, and it's an easy 10.
And it's sad. Yeah. It makes it sad, really, because one last thing, it makes it sad that we didn't get to see it in person as the fans, because what a season he's had. And imagine if we could have seen that from the Barkley end. Those amazing goals, those amazing crosses, just would have been amazing. But still, been great to watch it online, or even just watch the highlights. Mainly the highlights and mostly him, to be honest. But
100%.
It's just what a player to get us through this tough time, and what a season to get us through this tough time. It couldn't have come at a better time for us. Thank you, Buendia, and thank you, Norwich.
I think that wraps it up nicely as well. It's been a long one today, guys. I appreciate it if you have stayed this far. But as you'll probably notice throughout the few days, I will be making these into separate clips as well. I'm a little undecided what to do with it. Yeah, I've got a few things I could do creativity wise with this. But yeah, thank you again for watching this whole thing today. Hopefully have your say as well on the ratings. You know, tell us down below, disagree, agree, whatever the case may be. We want to hear from you, of course, as always, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be sure to subscribe to show your support. Like the video as well. Me and Callum signing out. More to come in the summer. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
All the best. Goodbye.
See you guys later. Is it about 2 hours and 11?
No, it's more than that.
You fucking what?